Breaking news. What's up? Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing this AM? I hope you're all doing and living well and getting woken up very well. Thank you to all the awesome people in the winner's circle who support the channel on a monthly basis. You guys make it happen. And we are broadcasting live today on Rumble, YouTube, and X. And everybody loves breaking news today. Trump's AG pick, Pam Bondi, faces Senate confirmation hearings live. And that's what we're doing, and that's the way it's going to be, and you're going to like it. All right. Who's out there? Who's my early risers hanging with the crowd? Looks like it's 7 a.m. Toy came by and said, it's too early. Go back to bed. All right. And remember to hit the like button. Talking trash and juice, Shelly. There she is. She's saying happy hump day. Every day is a happy hump day. If you got the right person with you, there you go. And Shelly will be doing our show later on today, as far as I know at this point. So we will likely be redirecting to her when this Senate confirmation hearing concludes, and hopefully it goes faster than yesterday. That's just hopefully, but we'll stick it out, won't we? Wolfram, my friend, how you doing? Good morning. Good morning. Wolfram's probably at work today, but he's doing an awesome putting these links out. Thank you so much for dropping these links, Wolfram. And remember, when you're here to always listen to the Wolf, he knows what he's talking about. He wipes his paws, he lopes in, and he howls. And that's how you know the Alpha Mod is here. K Marshall, what's going on? Good morning, K Marshall. How you doing today? Hope you are doing awesome. Let's see. Why am I awake at this ungodly hour, Shelly? That's what I was saying to myself too. You know, I'm just gonna be crawling in sideways this morning. So we'll eventually get there, I'm sure. 9:30 is when the big shoe starts. And I got a couple different options to watch. Robert Gouveia is even going live at 9:15. So in about 4 minutes, we'll check in with him on his feed since he does such great coverage. And we will spend a little time looking around the world with him, perhaps. Yeah, I got to remember, I got AP, I got USA Today for coverage to watch. I think I'm trying to get that right. There we go. There's USA, there's AP, but we don't have C-SPAN. C-SPAN is like the nice safe bet, right? You go with C-SPAN and you're never going to get any problems. I don't like to give CNN any airtime, so I usually don't use them. Usually. And then but I swear to God, I got an AP. I got blasted by the AP and I had to like submit a copyright thing with them once. So that makes me a little wary to use them. But they do have this beautiful picture of the Capitol right now. Which is just looks fantastic today. I'll show you what it looks like. And I'll get to the rest of you guys. There it is. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Isn't that special? All right. So who else we got here? T-Rex Trucking and more. I don't want to be awake this early either. Laugh out loud. Are you driving, T-Rex? Where are you driving today? Give us some. You've been kind of like, we haven't seen much of you lately. You pop in, you go. You know, give us an update on what's going on with you. And all that. And good morning. We got Angry Conservative. We have a Senate committee website. Who's we and where is it? What you got? What you mean, dude? We have a Senate committee website. I'm excited to see that. What you got? What you got? What you got? But the Capitol looks really nice, huh? It's sweet. It's a sweet looking little thing today. Out there. Oh, man. Good morning, guys. It's energy drink in the morning. Today, we're starting off with the C4 cherry flavor. It is quite good in the morning. Cherry C4 in the morning is really good. Like I said, if I drink coffee, I'll be asleep by what time is it right now? 9 something. Yeah, but I'll be like hurting by like 11:30. I don't know. It's just like I love the taste of coffee, but and I know everybody like worships it, but I can't. Like if I drink that, man, check Discord. Okay. Why not? We got time. Let's check Discord. Angry conservative. Judiciary. Oh, they have the website. Is this where they gotta show it? Or is it just gonna be a thing? Full committee. 9:30 a.m. Is it check back for a live video of this hearing? Okay. That works. Thank you, angry conservative. I'll put this over here in the pile. Put this in the pile, man. I hope they got good reception. You know how these websites are sometimes. So I'll put this in the pile. And I guess we'll get rid of USA Today. That's another one I had. But we'll just enjoy this nice picture of the Capitol. So we sit here and wait for things to spin up. And enjoy. Hey, Lass, how you doing? Enjoy your energy drink. I'm hours away from eating. Yeah, me too. Probably. Well, I appreciate it, dude. I appreciate it, dude. I really do. I do. I do. Grimmy, what's up? Waking with Winning. Good name for a show. But I'll I don't know if I want that show or not. Snafu, not a forklift certified. Not forklift. Pam Bondi, the anti-gun lady. Yeah, she's anti-gun. That's her. Yeah, not really though. I love how I went over how they got blown out of proportion, but I'm sure they'll go over that today. I'm sure if it's a smear, they'll run it on her. Scott Hotbeck, how you doing? Good to see you, brother. How you been? What you been up to? What you been up to? Man, I think I did a yeah. I don't know if you brought it up or somebody brought it up, but I did a full piece on that whole like, is she anti-gun or not? You know, she's not anti-gun. Trump wouldn't put her out. Trump wouldn't hire her if she's anti-gun. He's not stupid. You know, he was a little green in 2016, but he's not stupid. So, we got all kinds of fun things to do. There's Robert. I keep an eye out for him. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do until tonight, guys. Tonight is the big night. Are you excited? The whole world is getting ready to change tonight. It's the day. It is the day. In fact, no, it's exactly the day. That Dr. Stephen Greer, world-renowned short-term emergency room physician and a long-term UFO nut, says that disclosure will happen today, and that we will find out that there is a rogue military corporate deep underground black ops group that's been running things and keeping all the cool stuff from us for decades. Okay, for decades, not just a couple years, decades. And they have quote unquote those precious whistleblowers coming out that from within the group that have finally realized that what they're doing is unconstitutional, and they will come out and with the conscience leading the way will tell us about all the things they got and all the things they've been doing. Of course, he knows it all because he made it up himself, but today is the day that's supposed to happen. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that tonight on a very special unveiling reality. And we will be on Disclosure Watch. I still haven't come up with a god dang name for that show yet. I think I'd have it already. But I'm going to have a lot of interesting things to go with that. Now tonight also is Biden's farewell address, which I really don't care about. Got to be honest with you. I heard about it last night and I was thinking, well, we can add that to the show because it's at 8:00. But I mean, it's like letting that narcissist have one last speech as they're leaving, and they're just gonna gaslight you about everything, and then find, as many ways as they can to piss you off as they walk out the door. Hopefully never to return, but you're gonna see them around every now and then acting like they hadn't done a damn thing wrong. That's the way those people work. So, I don't know that I'm gonna play it. I'm not, maybe Thursday I'll go over it after everybody's had time to rip it apart. But I think don't you think disclosure is more important? Um, so we will look at that tonight, as well as other people who have looked at it, and we will also, as always, line by line, listen to his latest on the story. So that'll be tonight. When you go line by line on this guy, all right, such a different thing. You got to slow him down because he tries to do that little grifter trick where he talks about one thing, goes on a rant, never answers a question, never answers a direct question. He'll go off on a different emotional tangent, and he'll never come back to it. It's amazing. It's amazing craft. It's grift craft. But we're going to be watching to see yet another one of his predictions not come true, and I will be going back through some of his greatest hits, like the mummified alien that wasn't really an alien, and the fake alien encounters that he scams money out of people doing. And there was another one. It was those two. Those are the two big ones. Um, and how he actually coined the phrase disclosure. Like there wasn't really any talk of this disclosure shit going on until Greer came around and put together his fake committee with a bunch of people who. And the thing about it is if you really investigate, if you've really gone down the alien UFO rabbit hole, you find out there's a whole committee of people that are doing the same thing. But the interesting thing is like how they get into it. You just really have to come up with you have to prove to them through a good story that you're a good story and that you understand the lore. And if you do that, they'll let you in. But the weird part is like, I mean, I don't, without being on the inside, I wouldn't know. But I mean, do they sit around and like scheme, or do they like, okay, look, you have to always be LARPing. It's like you always be LARPing in the UFO alien rabbit hole community. Like, and no greater example of that than Drake Kent Bailey, who is now on to being a super soldier, transdimensional super soldier. He went from being a patriotic militia, just an old militia guy, right? Who was working with a secret coup within the military to take back the country for we the people. I know his whole grift, man, and that several elements of the plan where it's taken by the 4chan trolls who started QAnon, then QAnon. They took so that's why I was like, this sounds like Drake. I mean, because I was back when Drake was, the original Q, but now he has moved on. He can now transdimensionally travel for being an old veteran and an old Vietnam veteran. I believe people have looked him up. We know, I know exactly where he lives and all that shit, but the he can actually transdimensionally go to different places and blow them up with his mind, right? And so can his friends. And so they all sit around, and I don't think they're quite. Some of them are featured on the Gaia Network, but they sit around and they come up with these fascinating stories about how they are, trying to get us into the big federation full of aliens, and there's internal alien battles, and it's just it's pure conspiratainment comedy gold. But that's like, it's like these people. One guy proved with that super soldier story that if you go to the main guy and you have a story about being a super soldier, he'll entertain it. Like literally, the guy did a whole like mini documentary on him getting into the community with a story by learning their lore, right? And using certain key phrases, gets into the community and gets on the dude's podcast and like tells his story, but one he made up. And that was really interesting because it shows that they're all just playing along with each other. It's the freaking craziest thing. It's like this unspoken deal, right? It's like this unspoken deal. We got 6 minutes. As you can see, the committee there is warming up. Let me check back over to the website here and see if there anything's changed on this. It says click back for live video. I guess it's going to appear in this box. I don't. This better. I hope it has a full screen because they don't believe in dark mode, and I do. What's up, guys? Who else is out there? So, anyways, lots more about that. If you dig that kind of stuff and you want to know about my wild ride in the UFO alien conspiracy rabbit hole and all the information I have on it, not only do I have a playlist called the UFO alien rabbit hole, featuring myself and several other familiar faces from around the scene. Um, but I take you from ancient aliens all the way to where I was just talking about with the Gaia Network um, and Drake and Bailey and the Super Soldier program, and where they can where old people who got nothing better to do think up shit to talk about. It's amazing. Hey guys, let's see. I did catch Pocahontas getting ruined by her stupid questions yesterday. Yeah, that was a highlight. I want to see what they do with old Pammy Joe. Pammy Joe come flying in sideways, but Pammy Joe ain't gonna take no shit off no bitches today. I tell you that. I don't think Pammy Joe is like that, man. But Pammy Joe, oh Pam Bondi, you came and you gave without taking, and she'll do it again, Pam Bondi. Yeah. She will. I don't think she's gonna take any shit from anybody. She's gonna lip off no dude and no slack off no bitch. It's Pam Bondi. God damn it. Let me see here. What we got? We got some more room to talk here. Did Robert ever go live? Yeah, he did go live. What's he doing? He's sliding sideways too. I was sleeping over there. I don't think we're gonna have time for Robert today. But I do like Robert Gouveia. He's probably the best dude out there, a law guy back out there, putting out quality content for you all. All right. So Rem says there's all kinds of technology that exists today that the general public doesn't give two shits about. They don't care about technology and learning, just the fad. 357, what's up? How you doing? Good morning, Memento Mori. Good morning. Lockheed CL 1201C. It's in space. We'll see about that. I got maybe what's a Lockheed CL 1201C? What is that? I got a friend who's in Space Force. I can run all these questions. Sometimes he answers me. He's a busy guy. Sometimes he answers me. Like when the drones were going off, he answered me, talked to me a little bit about that. Gave me some inside scoop on some stuff. You think somebody in Space Force knows what the fuck's going on, don't you? I do. I could ask him about the old Lockheed CL 1201C. He'd know. See, so maybe I'll figure that out. What is it? What is it, Snafu? What is it? What is this Lockheed thing you're talking about? Obviously, it's some kind of aerial device. I feel like a kid. I just pulled a 6-foot jump onto the lady's bed. She wasn't happy, nor was the cat. She loves my morning energy. Go for it, dude. Rock and roll, baby. Rock and roll. Winning needs to work on where he takes pauses. He can travel with his mind to go blow them up. I mean, or you can just like work on, where your mind takes pauses. A lot of that's just projection, T-Rex. It's a lot of it is what it is. I sleep with my eyes open. I bet you do. T-Rex, you never answered any of my questions, did you? Asked you specifically where you're traveling today, what you're doing, and how you've been. You've been discording out, I see. We haven't seen you much here. Well, you drive by it like you're making a drop off, like you're dropping off some goods and services. But just wanted to catch up. This page isn't live yet, and I need to keep an eye on this. Bunch of people gathering around. Yeah, there you go. You guys see it. We're looking at the same thing, aren't we? All right. Winning morning, brother. Morning, man. Morning. I don't know if I completely trust Pam yet. There's something that happened with her a while ago. I just can't remember. Yeah, people are complaining about this whole. They think that she's anti-gun. She's not. You have to. I went through this, and I can't remember the term right now because it's AM. But I went through this, and you have to understand that this thing that um she sided. I guess she kind of sided with, right? Kind of. It's different in every state. I can't remember. It's like has to do with like taking your guns away if you got a problem. If there's a problem going on. But it varies state to state. Like, they use the same terminology in every state, and it varies. As in, like, if you're in a state, if say like Florida, like a really red kind of, you know, base kind of run state, free state, it means something different than it does in like New York City or California. Like they take the term to the extreme. But when nominations were being made on Winning Tonight, there she is. Look at her. She is ready to kick your ass. Um, let's see. They're marching her over to the podium. I'll keep an eye on this other website. I don't see nothing happening. It's just check back here for video of this hearing, and I'm like, where? There's not even a freaking link. There's not even a link on the page. I don't know who I'm supposed to check back. We're gonna make sure we don't miss any of this exciting stuff. Red flag. There you go, Memento. Thank you. Red flag laws. Yeah. And so it means a little bit different in each state. And she's talked about that. And we had a long discussion about like how much of that makes sense and how much of it doesn't. Heidi, what's up? How you doing? Good morning. All right. Shake it off, guys. You guys stretch? Did you get your morning stretch in? I hope you got your morning stretch in because we're getting ready to rock and roll here. Now, last night we voted and you guys want the stars. You got the stars. Exciting times. Are they going to do the Pledge of Allegiance and sing the national anthem and all that shit? Because if so, we can keep talking. I don't need to hear all that. Unless you guys want to stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance together? Who's willing to do that? What you got to know about Pam Bondi is like the group that she works with down there in Florida is the kick-ass group that you always see out there, like calling out the pedophiles, calling out the gangs, calling out the immigrant crime. I mean, every week the sheriff department's out there, and like that's her squad. So it's like the toughest group of law enforcement in Florida who's doing the most amount of good work. She's part of that team. Hey, that guy was there yesterday, wasn't it? That's Rick Scott. Okay, no, I saw Rick Scott somewhere else yesterday. Good old Rick Scott. Wouldn't he? There's Mr. Grassley. Oh, he's wearing his blue V-neck today.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Mr. Grassley.
Welcome, all of you, to this very important hearing to consider the nomination of former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi. She's serving as the 87th Attorney General of the United States after her approval. Congratulations to your nomination, Ms. Bondi, and thank you for your willingness to serve. I thank Senator Durbin for his leadership as chairman of the committee over the last 4 years. Although he and I have differences of policies, I think the public could say we worked well together on many issues over the years. As he steps into his role as ranking member, I will work closely with Senator Durbin to serve the American people. I also would like to welcome three brand new members of the committee and a person that's repeating his service here after a stint off. I welcome to the committee Senator Britt, Senator Schmidt, Senator Crapel and Senator Schiff. Welcome. Before we get started, I'd like to set out a couple ground rules. I want to handle this hearing using a similar structure to how Senator Durbin handled the nomination hearing of Attorney General Garland. I want everyone here to be able to watch the hearing without obstruction. If people stand up and block the view of those behind them or speak out of turn, it's not fair or considerate to others, so officers will immediately remove those individuals. Now, before I turn to my opening statement, let me explain.
And most
how we're
importantly,
going to
faggots aren't
proceed
allowed to look at
today.
my ass.
I'll give my opening remarks, and then I'll invite Ranking Member Durbin to give his opening remarks. Then I'll call on Senator Scott Schmidt to introduce this nominee. And following those introductions and Ms. Bondi's statement, we'll begin the first round of questioning. Each senator will have an initial 7-minute round for questioning. After the first round, we'll do a second 4-minute round of questioning. Members should do their very best to adhere to these time limits so that we can proceed efficiently with the hearing. We're here today to considering Pam Bondi's nomination to serve as Attorney General of the United States. Ms. Bondi, for a second time, I thank you for your nomination, willingness to serve, but more importantly, serve the important role of Senate's advising consent process. You're nominated to one of the most important offices in our country. It took let's see, a lot of work on your part. Just
he was going to say
get here
shit
today.
ton.
The more than
He had to stop himself.
14,000 pages of records,
Took a shit ton of
hundreds of
work.
hours of media files, and more than 3,400 responsive entries.
Not to mention the
disclosed
nudes.
to this committee are a testament to your long career in public eye and your cooperation with this committee. I'd like to also thank your family for being here today. I know that many of them have traveled some distance to celebrate with you. I'd like to explain and expect that Ms. Bondi be treated fairly. During Attorney General
Here we go
Garland's
again with the
confirmation
goddamn.
hearing,
She was not instrumental. What did
treated him with
ChatGPT
respect.
write that for you, dude? She
We
was
asked,
instrumental in getting the
tough
red
but
flag
fair
laws in
questions,
Florida. That's a
and
red
we
flag for me.
ultimately voted him out of committee.
I've already
on a
gone over that,
bipartisan
T-Rex.
basis.
You were
Although
there,
Attorney General Garland wasn't
I think.
who we
Should have
on
been.
this side of the aisle would have chosen to lead the Department of Justice. We recognize that President Biden won that election and that he was entitled to choose his Attorney General. We were ultimately disappointed with some of the things that General Garland and his department did, but at the time of his nomination, we gave him the benefit of the doubt. As the
Bad
recent
move.
terrorist attacks in New Orleans and around the world have shown, our national security must be a high priority. The American people deserve a secure homeland,
You're not disagreeing with me or disagreeing with the
safe
facts.
streets,
I'm just telling you that she wasn't instrumental in setting
markets,
them up.
civil rights, and a protected environment. So,
Would you rather know the truth or be
delivering
right?
on these promises required the swift confirmation of an attorney general. This committee should give Ms. Bondi the same benefit of the doubt that this committee gave to Attorney General.
And I've asked you the
Garland.
same question 3 times, T-Rex. You
President
still haven't
Trump
answered me.
has selected a nominee whose qualifications speak for themselves. Ms. Bondi made history in 2010 as the first woman to be elected Florida Attorney General. She held that role for 8 years and was comfortably reelected by the people of Florida to a second term. 8 years of service as Attorney General of the third largest state in the nation is excellent preparation for the role of U.S. Attorney General. As Florida Attorney General, Ms. Bondi was a member of the Florida Cabinet, Chief Legal Officer of the state, and led a large agency that
I'm not going to talk over Mr.
tangibly
Grassley.
impacted people's lives. And by all accounts, Ms. Bondi handled her responsibilities well. As the Florida Attorney General, Ms. Bondi achieved numerous successes. She engaged in key initiatives to fight human trafficking, counter the opioid epidemic, and protect consumers and protect the citizens of Florida from violence. She didn't shy away from hard work or complicated problems. She engaged in an aggressive campaign to eliminate pill mills, took a leading role in securing a $3.25 billion settlement following the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, and eliminated the backlog of rape test kits that had accumulated in that state's laboratories. Ms. Bondi experience isn't limited to her service as Florida Attorney General. She also served as a prosecutor in Hillsborough County for 18 years and prosecuted terrible crimes. She sought tough penalties and justice for victims of violent criminals, domestic abusers, and sexual predators. She prosecuted drug traffickers and thus protected her community. She was also active outside of her professional role, serving in the Junior League of Tampa, on the board of Special Olympics Florida, and is well known for her animal rescue efforts. Her experience and performance as Attorney General, prosecutor, and community leader speaks volumes about her character and her dedication to the rule of law. She's received multiple letters in support of her nomination, including from the Fraternal Order of Police, the Republican State Attorneys General, more than 100 former senior DOJ officials, and a bipartisan group of former state attorneys general. In short, Ms. Bondi is highly qualified. And of course, as we all know, a change is desperately needed. When confirmed, Ms. Bondi will take the helm at a very turbulent time for this country and for that department. The Justice Department's is infected with political decision-making, while its leaders refuse to acknowledge that reality. Crossfire Hurricane was a textbook example of government weaponization. The FBI's investigation was built on the fake Steele dossier, which was funded by the Democratic National Committee and Clinton campaign, who worked with foreign operatives. My investigative work exposed that the FBI actually knew the dossier was false information and was likely a part of a Russian disinformation campaign. Even with the knowledge of such dossier defects and political infections, the Justice Department sought FISA warrant renewals and took other actions. After directing my oversight staff to investigate Justice Department's mishandlings of the matter, the Justice Department retaliated in issuing a subpoena for my own staff's phone records. That's right, challenging my constitutional rights of doing my oversight duties. Well, what's next? Then a few Democratic colleagues pressured the FBI Foreign Influence Task Force to supposedly brief me and Senator Johnson related to our Biden family investigation. On August the 20th, Senator Johnson and I had that infamous briefing from the FBI. Later, this FBI's briefing contents were leaked to the media, even though the FBI promised confidentiality. That leak falsely labeled our oversight work as, you guessed it, Russian disinformation. To this day, over 4 years later, the intelligence community and the FBI refused to provide us the intelligence basis for that briefing. The title of this Wall Street Journal's article sums it up, quote, "The FBI's dubious briefing. Did the Bureau set 2 U.S. GOP senators up at the behest of Democrats? Question mark, end of quote." So,
Did you do the
I know
Biden
it's
thing?
other
Or
people
is that just for
on this
effect?
committee and in and out of Congress know what government weaponization
Repeat the
is.
line.
And then we get to Special Counsel Jack Smith and his lawfare operation. It involved an unprecedented FBI raid on Trump's house, including agents that even searched the former First Lady's clothing drawers. Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden certainly did not receive the same treatment by government regarding their records. Indeed, as my oversight exposed, the FBI amazingly agreed to destroy laptop records and records associated with Clinton staff. This Orwellian conduct should have no quarter. On top of it all, the FBI Special Agent Tebow, the anti-Trump agent that violated the Hatch Act for political activities on the job, started one of Jack Smith's cases. But Jack Smith wasn't the only department official who tried to influence this past election. The Washington Post reported just last August about a previously undisclosed Mueller investigation into Trump that was closed for lack of evidence, and it being quote unquote fishing expedition. That news reporting was based on sealed court records, government records, and potentially classified information roughly 90 days before the last presidential election. The Justice Department leaked that information to the press to impact the election against President Trump. And they did it while stiff-arming congressional requests for information that would prove embarrassing to the Biden-Harris administration. So let us not forget some of the more and other flagrant abuses of power that we've seen from the DOJ and the FBI over the last 4 years. And I don't have the time to spend on these that I spent on 2 or 3 others, but just to list them. The Department of Justice used the might of the federal government to prosecute individuals peacefully praying outside of an abortion clinic. The FBI suggested that traditional Catholics could be domestic terrorism threats, claiming that these individuals adhere to, quote, anti-Semitic, anti-immigration, anti-LGBT, and white supremacy ideology, end of quote. The FBI opened dozens of investigations into parents who voiced their concerns at school board meetings regarding curriculum choices and COVID-19 mandates. The FBI applied undue pressure to social media platforms to censor so-called misinformation, downgrading or removing flagged social media posts and removing users. These are only a few particularly egregious examples of rot infesting the Department of Justice.
It's
The
rotten.
impact of this political infection
Motherfucker.
in our once storied law enforcement institutions is catastrophic. By every metric, the Biden-Harris Justice Department conduct has failed to live up to our country's ideals. So,
Bastards.
Ms. Bondi, should you be confirmed, the actions you take to change the department's course must be for accountability.
Goddamn
so that the
right.
conduct I just described never happens again.
Never.
The only way to accomplish this is through transparency for the Congress and the American people. Now to my friend, Ranking Member Durbin.
Thank you, Senator Grassley. I appreciate your commitment to the Judiciary Committee's longstanding bipartisan practices.
I mean, come on, T-Rex. She looks
vetting
just like
presidential
Megyn
nominees.
Kelly.
That was in doubt several weeks ago, but I spoke to Senator Grassley and he assured me that he's still personally committed, as I am, to maintaining these practices which we've established over the years. Our process is rigorous and it shows how seriously members on both sides of the aisle take our constitutional responsibility of advice and consent. Ms. Bondi, thanks for coming to my office last week to discuss your nomination. The importance of the Attorney General to our justice system cannot be overstated. As our nation's chief law enforcement officer, the Attorney General oversees the Department of Justice, which is responsible for protecting the civil rights of Americans, economic freedom and opportunity, public safety, and of course, national security. In short, the Attorney General has real impact on America's everyday life. It is critical that any nominee for this position be committed first and foremost to the Constitution and the American people, not any president or political agenda. But President Trump claims he has, quote, an absolute right to do what he wants with the Justice Department. And that's how he conducted his first term. He interfered with the criminal cases of his friends and allies and successfully pressured DOJ to investigate his rivals. He even tried to use the Justice Department to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. The president-elect made it clear that he values one thing above all else, and he said it over and over again: loyalty. Speaking about Attorney General Sessions, Donald Trump said, quote, "The only reason I gave him the job is because I felt loyalty. He was an original supporter." But when then Attorney General Sessions did the right thing and recused himself from the Mueller investigation, Trump said he should never have nominated him, and he fired him. Trump then nominated Bill Barr to succeed Sessions. Barr successfully auditioned for the job in an unsolicited memo to DOJ that sharply criticized the Mueller investigation. Once confirmed, Barr misrepresented and blocked the release of the report, intervened in multiple criminal cases of Trump's political allies, and spread falsehoods about election fraud. But in December of 2020, when Bill Barr finally announced there was no evidence of widespread voter fraud that would change the outcome of the election,
Bastard
Trump
liar.
dismissed him,
Yep.
fired his second attorney general.
Yep.
This time
bastard
around,
liar.
President-elect Trump has vowed not just to use the Justice Department to advance his political interests,
Oh,
but also
God.
to seek, quote, retribution against, quote, the enemy within.
Oh, yeah.
He has
Quote,
repeatedly threatened to
establishment
arrest,
douchebag right here.
prosecute, jail, and otherwise punish those he considers his enemies. This includes reporters, prosecutors, judges, poll workers, military officials, and even his own former political appointees. Even before taking office, Trump has forced out his own FBI director that he appointed, Chris Wray. And he's trying to replace Wray with Kash Patel, whose main
Hell yeah.
qualification to be FBI director seems to be his loyalty to Donald Trump.
Oh, shut up.
Patel has even compiled an enemies list
Dick.
of, quote, government gangsters.
This is why I call him
Target
Dick. His name ain't
includes
Richard.
Former Trump appointees like Director Wray, Attorney General Barr, and Defense Secretary Esper.
Oh, yeah. You
Trump's
just hate.
approach is a stark contrast with the
Love those
bipartisan
neocons.
view born out of the post-Nixon era that the Justice Department
Yes, we're not
should
playing the
serve
false left
interests
right
of the
paradigm
American
games, you
people, not any
douchebag.
one president.
That's right.
For
You
those who
figured it
need a
out.
reminder,
You figured it
Richard
out.
Nixon ordered department officials to fire Archibald Cox, the special prosecutor investigating Watergate.
Yeah,
Two
fire
of
that
those
bastard.
officials, Elliot Richardson and William Ruckelshaus,
The
resigned
neocons and us
rather than
didn't like
carry
it
out
very
Richard
much at
Nixon's
all.
orders. When this committee considered the appointment of Loretta Lynch to be President Obama's
Double
Attorney
D.
General, a Republican member of the committee emphasized, and I quote,
That's
"What we
right.
need from our next Attorney General more than anything else is independence." That same member, who now still serves on the committee, said, and I quote, "The job is not to be the president's wingman. The job is to represent all Americans. The Attorney General must be willing to stand up to the president and say no when the
Right.
office demands it."
I mean, look at the clown show
When
Biden put
Attorney
in.
General nominee Merrick Garland came before this
You're
committee,
telling me that
another one of my
trainee
Republican colleagues
military
still serving told Garland, and I
dude
quote,
is like
"My sole
qualified?
criterion for voting for your confirmation is your pledge to make sure that politics does not affect your job as Attorney General." So the view that the Justice Department must be insulated from political influence should not be weaponized against political rivals has historically been bipartisan.
Now we'll do what we
certainly on
want
this
to, but
committee.
you guys
At
can't
this
do
crucial
anything.
moment in history, that view, not Mr. Trump's view, must prevail. Ms. Bondi, you have many years of experience in law enforcement, including nearly a decade.
Yeah,
of
we're gonna
service
lock
as
your
Attorney
ass up,
General
man.
in
See,
one of the largest states of the nation.
lock
But I
this
need
dude
to know
here.
that
You
you
know
will
he's
tell the
doing
president
some bad
no
shit.
if you're asked to do something that is wrong, illegal, or unconstitutional. Ms. Bondi, you are one of 4 Trump personal lawyers that he has already selected for top positions in the Department of Justice. You joined Mr. Trump in working to overturn the 2020 election. You've repeatedly described investigations and prosecutions of Mr. Trump as witch hunts, and you have echoed his calls for investigating and prosecuting his
Oh
political
yeah,
opponents.
and we are. And when we
This
find it,
flies in the face
all
of
the people
evidence,
involved are going to be in a lot of
like
trouble.
Mr. Trump's call to Georgia Secretary of State.
The perfect
Brad
phone
Raffensperger.
call. The perfect
We've all
phone
heard
call.
that audio recording.
We have. It's the perfect phone
These
call.
are the kinds of anti-democratic efforts that in
That was the one
past you
from
have
Ukraine.
defended.
This one was just
And
good
it's
though.
critical that we understand whether you remain supportive of Mr. Trump's actions. I also have questions whether you
Yeah.
will focus on the needs of the American people rather than wealthy special interests.
Mm-hmm.
I'm concerned that you failed to identify your
What? She's not a
extensive
Democrat.
lobbying for foreign governments and big corporations as potential conflicts of interest. There'll be questions in this
Right,
hearing on
Wolfram?
that issue. That's why I've asked the Justice Department and the National Archives for information.
Yeah. See, God froze him in time. That's what he gets for lying so much. God has frozen him in time because he's lied and lied and lied. Oh, he's lied. It's okay. I got a backup rolling. Hang tight, guys. Super website is here.
As potential conflicts of interest.
There we can see
There'll be
the deuce
questions
back in
this
4K,
hearing on that issue.
but you can only
That's
see
why
it in
I've asked the
720.
Justice Department and the
Otherwise, things will
National
get all
Archives
skippy.
for information on your lobbying. of the
Hold
Trump
on.
White House and your foreign
I'm
lobbying.
gonna have to put it on the small
disclosures.
screen for a second.
I'm particularly concerned about your work on behalf of the government of Qatar, which reportedly paid you $115,000 a
We're all
month
better now.
to launder their image on human trafficking, an issue of bipartisan concern on this committee. We need an
What?
attorney general who will enforce our antitrust laws
What?
to prevent price fixing and monopolies that lead to higher prices for American consumers.
Yeah, Wolfram,
not
it's gonna be a
favor
long day,
corporate
buddy.
giants that you've lobbied for in the past, like Amazon and Uber.
It's
I
gonna be a
also
long
have
day.
questions about some of your actions as Florida Attorney General. I'm
I
concerned
had
that
questions
your
about
office
P.
failed to
but P took him
investigate
down.
more than 24 complaints about the for-profit Trump University after Mr. Trump
Oh my
infiltrated the
God.
election campaign and held a fundraiser for
Trump
for Obama.
University's back.
In addition, you have a long track record on the issue of civil rights, reproductive rights, voting rights, and LGBTQ rights that
Yep.
needs to be discussed.
What do you mean rights? What
In
rights do they have
Contrast,
that
Ms.
other people
Bondi,
don't have? They have
Merrick
privileges?
Garland
That
didn't
you're saying?
campaign for President
What
Biden.
privileges? What
Never
privileges
served
do they
as his
have?
personal attorney.
Because they
Never lobbied on
have a
behalf of
problem.
foreign governments and corporate giants.
No
After
problem.
years of relentless criticism on Attorney
What
General
privileges are you
Garland
giving them?
from many of my Republican colleagues, I hope they're prepared to hold
Because
you to the
humans have
same
rights
standard.
equally.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Grass. This
Okay.
Durbin,
It's
Dick
now time
Durbin,
for
y'all.
senators to introduce the nominee. The first one will be Senator Scott. At
Just
the
occurred to
table,
me
as you
that they're
see,
probably going to load the
and
fucking
Senator
bank with
Schmidt is a member of this committee
people.
at his place.
Now we know
on
what
the
they're going to try to
dais.
do to Miss Pam.
Senator Scott, please proceed.
Mr. Chairman, ranking member, and committee members, it is an absolute honor to sit before you today to introduce my good friend Pam Bondi for her nomination hearing.
Let's go, Rick.
I'd also like to recognize some important people appearing in support of her today.
Rick is a
Her
hell of a
husband,
dancer.
John, as well as her mother, father-in-law, sister, brother, sister-in-law, and nephews,
This
friends,
guy
and family
can do
members
any
of
dance
John.
move you want.
Many more would surely be here if space allowed. I can tell you wholeheartedly that President Trump couldn't have a better leader than Pam Bondi for Attorney General. She is undoubtedly qualified, brilliant, and committed to defending and protecting the laws of this nation, and has a track record to prove it.
Mhm.
It's no secret that the DOJ is facing a public trust crisis after Democrats spent years weaponizing the justice system and the entire federal government.
That's
They
right.
become an agency that attacks the American people instead of defending and protecting them. That will change under Pam Bondi.
Yep.
Under her leadership, the DOJ will actually fairly enforce the laws, protect the rights of the American people, and keep our nation safe, and crack down on violent crimes and dangerous drugs.
Hmm.
And the American people will trust her to do so. I know that well because I worked alongside Pam Bondi for 8 years when I was governor of Florida, and she was Florida's elected attorney general, working to improve the lives of Floridians to make Florida the best state in the nation to live, work, and raise a family. Pam was an incredible partner, working to keep Florida safe and uphold the laws of our state, ensuring crime is aggressively pursued by law enforcement and prosecutors. President Trump has made clear that one of his top priorities is to reverse the rising rates of crime, and specifically violent crime, that have plagued our communities over the past 4 years. Pam Bondi is uniquely equipped to advance this priority as U.S. Attorney General because
Thank
she has a proven track record
Thank
of
you for the
success
likes.
in achieving dramatic reductions in crime and violent crime during her time as Florida's Attorney General. From 2010, the year before she took office, to 2018, the last year she was in office, together, Florida experienced a remarkable 26% drop in overall crime, including a
Never on the rumble side.
19.6%
Thank you,
drop
Andre
in violent
Dyke.
crime and a 27.4% drop in property crime. These aren't just numbers. These are tens of thousands of lives saved and communities improved and made safer, and families and businesses protected. As Florida's Attorney General, Pam Bondi also spearheaded other life-saving initiatives like tackling the opioid epidemic and fighting human trafficking. Her achievements are too many for me to list in this short introduction. As U.S. Attorney General, Pam Bondi will restore law and order to the nation. She'll put Americans' interests first and make the nation a better and safer place. I urge every single member of this committee to support
Anybody's
my
better than
friend
Merrick
Pam
Garland,
Bondi. I
by
look
the way.
forward to voting for her confirmation soon on the Senate floor and help her get to work for the American people. Thank you, Chairman.
This is the
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Durbin, and members of the committee. It is an honor for me and a privilege to introduce
Department of Justice.
Pam Bondi, President Trump's nominee to be the 87th Attorney General of the United States. I
Judiciary
have
Committee.
known and worked closely with Pam for years, and I'm glad to call her a friend. When Pam was nominated by President Trump, my reaction was, this is a home run. As many of us
Schmidt,
are,
dude.
I was
Schmidt
only to be
rocks.
outdone by Senator Graham, who described the nomination as a grand slam, touchdown, hole-in-one, ace, hat trick, slam dunk, Olympic gold medal pick, and he's right. As the letter joined by more than 100 former Justice Department officials put it, quote, "It's all too rare for senior Justice Department officials, much less attorneys general, to have such a wealth of experience in the day-to-day work of
Catching me
keeping our
better now.
communities safe," end quote. Pam exemplifies and personifies the Department of Justice's mission.
Yeah, I didn't like hearing
to
that either.
uphold the rule of law.
I didn't like
to
hearing
keep
that
our
either.
communities safe.
That's my
and
red
to
flag.
protect our rights and liberties as Americans. Pam has distinguished herself in her career.
Well, we're going to get to know
public
Pam
service
right now.
That has taken her from her small town upbringing in Temple Terrace, Florida, to
That's
a
what
hearing
it's all
before
about.
this esteemed committee.
Pam-
After attending
Pam
the
doesn't
University
have
of
to earn it
Florida
with
and
me.
Stetson
I'm not
University
gonna give it
College
to her
of Law,
just
she
'cause she's
started
got,
her
you
career
know,
as a local prosecutor in Hillsborough County, Florida. As a local
Party girl
prosecutor
eyes.
for nearly 2 decades, Pam kept her community safe, prosecuting violent criminals, drug dealers, those who had threatened the local community, and those who stood in opposition to the rule of law. Pam's fellow Floridians then elected her to serve as Florida's Attorney General, where she was the first woman in state history elected to that office.
That's right.
As a former state attorney general myself, I can vouch for
Well,
the
like
deep
Schmidt, dude.
experience that
Schmidt
Pam Bondi has
is a
developed from
good-
serving in that role.
Schmidt
As the
and
chief
Scott.
law enforcement official in her
Their
state, she
endorsements go a
worked with
long
local
ways.
prosecutors to fight crime, worked to protect our constitutional rights, or the constitutional rights of Floridians, and stood up for the little guy by taking on abuses of power. As Florida's Attorney General, she worked tirelessly to combat the opioid crisis, fighting pill mills, and helping to combat the widespread misuse
Pill
and
mills.
trafficking of deadly drugs,
The
including
old pill
fentanyl,
mill.
which have devastated families and communities all across our
You
country.
know what the pill mill is,
She
don't you?
stood up for Floridians in the wake of a 2008 financial crisis, leading to the National Mortgage Settlement Act, resulting in $56 billion in compensation to victims. And after the
Wow.
Deepwater Horizon oil spill, Pam was there and stood up for Floridians by getting $2 billion from the companies responsible. On a more personal note, Pam has always taken it upon herself to help others. She's incredibly generous and someone I could always count on.
And she's a lot of fun at a
truthful,
party.
She's tough, and she's a born leader. She has charted her own
Likes to
course
be on top.
with the rare combination of
Tammy's always
backbone
on top.
and heart. The next Attorney General of the United States must restore trust by reversing the weaponization we've seen the last 4 years and refocusing that department
is
to
awesome.
its core mission, administering justice. The next Attorney General must promote the rule of law, take on violent crime, keep our communities safe, and safeguard the God-given rights
God
that each
damn it.
American has protected in our Constitution. I can think of no one more up to that task than Pam Bondi, a career prosecutor and widely respected Attorney General. The prudence, fortitude, and temperance for this incredibly important job. Mr. Chairman, it is truly an honor for me to introduce Pam Bondi to this committee and to our country here today and speak on her behalf. And it's my hope that her nomination will be swiftly confirmed.
Thank you,
Swiftly
Senator Schmidt.
confirmed,
Now,
says
Ms.
Mr. Schmidt.
Bondi, would you please come forward, and before you're seated, I'd like to administer
Can you
oaths.
turn around? Let's see that cute
Would you
little outfit
please
you're wearing.
raise your right hand
Say.
and answer this question? Do you swear that the
God, there's Lindsey
testimony you're
Graham.
about to give to this committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing
Oh,
but
God.
the truth? So help you God. Please be seated and move ahead with your opening statement.
Thank you, Chairman Grassley, Ranking Member Durbin, and members of the Senate Judiciary Committee. I've had the opportunity to meet with almost all of you, and I
Tammy
greatly
Jo, y'all.
appreciate that. I'm grateful to President Trump and to this committee for your consideration to be the 87th Attorney General of the United States. I would not be here without my family. And if you can bear with me for just a moment, a lot of them have made
Maybe.
a very long
You
trip.
might be able to do
And
that.
I
Maybe.
wrote them all down so I don't forget anyone.
Oh, she likes to make lists,
My
girls.
beautiful mother,
Ladies, she likes to make
so I
lists.
wouldn't be here, a retired kindergarten teacher, would not be here without my mom.
Hired kindergarten teacher.
As of a week ago, it was 12 years since we lost my dad to leukemia. Feels like 12 days.
Tammy
My
Jo.
amazing husband, John, and his two incredible girls, Collins and Finley. Collins is a senior at University of Florida, and I think all of you on this committee will be very happy to know Finley is in cybersecurity. There's a third who is traveling
Oh
abroad.
boy,
I wish he could be here.
recruit.
My amazing father-in-law, David, my sister, Beth, my brother-in-law is home with my niece, my nephews, if you could just raise your hand, Evan, Jake, and soon-to-be niece Savannah. My brother, Brad, a brilliant lawyer, my sister-in-law, Tandy, and my nephews, Justin, who just got a 4.0 at UVA, Rex, great college tennis player, Brad, great tennis player. Is Rhea here? And my niece, my beautiful niece, Rhea, and the little guy is in school because he's 10. My friends, Leslie, Kathy, Dina, Tiffany, Kim, Paula, and so many of my former coworkers and Ranking Member Durbin, if you want to get dirt on me, these women have known me since I was a child. Seriously, most of them. So thank you for indulging me in that. They've all made a very
More
long trip to
margaritas,
be here,
anybody?
and thank you for holding my hearing as well and not postponing it. I appreciate that. Thank you all. From the moment I interned at the state attorney's office in Tampa, Florida, all I wanted to do was be a prosecutor. The Supreme Court certified me, and I had 4 jury trials while still in law school. Lost most of them, but had 4 jury trials and never wanted to do anything else. I continued my career there, trying everything from DUIs, domestic violence cases, capital murder cases, the whole gamut. I became a lead trial attorney in courtroom every day, trying career criminals, was deputy chief of a division, and then ultimately was felony bureau chief, and eventually left to become Florida's 37th attorney general for the state
Oh
of
yeah,
Florida.
baby. Shake it.
Nothing has impacted my career more than my experience as a state prosecutor, because I got to know and still keep in touch with many victims and their families from when I was a prosecutor. Upon becoming Attorney General in 2011, I proudly served for 2 terms. I was term limited. I would probably still be there right now had I not been kicked out of office by term limits. I loved being Attorney General. I did my best to keep Florida safe, to continue to stand up for victims of crime, and to fight the opioid crisis and the drug crisis that was not only facing Florida, but this entire country. Out of the top 100, this is one of the things I'm the most proud of, oxycodone dispensers in the entire country, I believe it was 98 of them, 90 or 98 of them, lived in Florida. We fought for tough legislation. Kids were dropping dead every day. We fought for tough legislation, and after that legislation, none of those opioid dealers, doctors, practiced in Florida. We fought to eliminate human trafficking by raising awareness and prevention and talking to parents and talking to children. We also provided critical resources, including safe houses, that my state was lacking. On the civil side, we worked to protect consumers. We tackled everything, including off-label prescription marketing, which affects, as you know, many, many people who can't afford prescriptions as well. We partnered with states' attorneys general from both parties and federal agencies across administrations. We went after price gougers during hurricanes. If confirmed as the next Attorney General of the United States, my overriding objective will be to return the Department of Justice to its core mission of keeping Americans safe and vigorously prosecuting criminals. And that includes getting back to basics: gangs, drugs, terrorists, cartels, our border, and our foreign adversaries. That is what the American people expect, and that is what they deserve from the Department of Justice. If confirmed, I will do everything in my power, and it will be my great responsibility to make America safe again. Making America safe again also requires reducing recidivism. We have to fix the Bureau of Prisons, and I am looking on both sides of the aisle. The Bureau has suffered from years of mismanagement, lack of funding, and low morale. I was proud to support President Trump's First Step Act. I think more can be implemented and more can be done on that front. President Trump's leadership on criminal justice reform has demonstrated what is possible when a president is unafraid to do things that have been deemed to be too difficult. We have to reach across the aisle and get solutions for all of these problems. Like the president, I believe we are on the cusp of a new golden age where the Department of Justice can and will do better if I am confirmed. Lastly, and most importantly, if confirmed, I will fight every day to restore confidence and integrity to the Department of Justice and each of its components. The partisanship, the weaponization will be gone. America will have one tier of justice for all. In all this work, I'll collaborate closely with this committee. I will work with all of you as I've committed to do when I met with almost all of you. And I will partner not only with the federal agencies, but with the state and local officials throughout our great country. I look forward to answering your questions today and working together for this country and our Constitution. Thank you, Senators.
I will ask first questions and Senator Durbin, and then I'll call on the Democrat people the way that Senator Durbin would say so on their arrival or here by seniority, in the same way that on the House side. And I'll make sure that I don't abuse the 7 minutes. I want you to have your attention on this binder that I put up here. It gets to a key factor of each senator's role in oversight. It contains 144 oversight letters that I sent to the Biden-Harris Justice Department and its component agencies, with many of those letters in there to the FBI. Adding letters to the Inspector General, that would be about 165 letters. So I've sent more letters since you've been in my office before Christmas. Should you be confirmed, 144 letters will be your responsibility. The responses I have received so far fall in two categories. First, they weren't answered at all. Second, I received a response, but it didn't fully respond. Said another way, the Justice Department merely sent me words on a piece of paper. So, should you be confirmed, you'll have an obligation to respond even to the minority and consider a letter from them, even if my signature's not on it, as they want information. Will you commit to responding to my oversight requests as well as the requests of other members of the committee?
Chairman, either I or my top staff will personally review the letters and do everything we can to respond to you.
Your tenure as Florida Attorney General was impressive. You fought against pill mills, human trafficking. You eliminated a backlog of rape test kits in state labs. You fought against organized retail theft, and you were known to stand for law and order. With such achievements, it's easy to see why the people of Florida reelected you in 2014 and why President-elect Trump nominated you to serve as the nation's chief law enforcement officer. So this gives you a chance to tell us on this committee and the people of this country what you're proud of as your record as Attorney General of Florida.
Thank you, Chairman Grassley. I was truly honored to serve the people of the state of Florida for 8 years, but it was a team effort. I had great people around me, many of whom are in this room today. And we did a lot. We did a lot to fight crime, and I've been reminiscing a lot since I was asked to take this nomination. Opioids, as I talked about, were a top priority right when I took office. When I was running for office, I went through the entire state of Florida. Parents were walking up to me, handing me pictures of their children who were deceased from opioid abuse. After I was elected, I took those pictures and I framed them in my office as a goal of stopping that fight, which I talked about in my opening statement. And if U.S. Attorney General, I'll bring those pictures back out and they will be there to inspire me on the further drug abuse we're facing throughout this country. We also learned that something else was happening. Pregnant women were having babies as a result of being opioid dependent. We call it neonatal abstinence syndrome. We fought to educate mothers. We fought that issue as well. Fentanyl was wreaking havoc in our country, but it was just getting started. I actually fought my own party a bit on scheduling fentanyl because at that time people thought it was something you merely got in the hospital on a patch after surgery. Apples and oranges, and boy, do we all know that now, the difference. Fentanyl is raging throughout our country, and I will do everything I can to fight that with the agencies that fall under the Department of Justice. Human trafficking became a top priority for me as Attorney General. I had the opportunity on a bipartisan trip to go to Mexico, and the one thing I found out there, they were doing better than we were. They had safe houses. I saw things I never dreamed I would see, and all of these things in my past have formed the person I am right now, sitting here before you. I came back to Florida. We started a human trafficking council, and we partnered with others, and we expanded and added safe houses in the state of Florida. I don't know how many are in this country right now, but I would like to partner with both sides, if confirmed, to continue those efforts.
I'd like to interrupt you
Yes, sir.
and go to another question. And I'll have another round so you can finish on that point. I'd like to ask you about something that's central to fighting government waste and fraud, the False Claims Act. I want you to know that Attorney General Garland calls me once a year. He called me yesterday to tell me the success of the False Claims Act. Since 1986, when I got it passed and President Reagan signed it, it's brought in $78 billion as of yesterday, his report, $2.9 billion for the year of 2024. Most of that's because of patriotic whistleblowers who found the fraud and brought the cases forward at their own risk. The Supreme Court has long upheld the law's constitutionality, but I want you to know, in your view, is the False Claims Act constitutional? Before you answer that, one time in the 1990s, one of the attorney generals said it wasn't constitutional, and when that same person by the name of Barr was back 5 years ago to be attorney general, he said it was constitutional. So if confirmed, will you commit? Well, answer that first question. Do you think it's constitutional? Would you defend the constitutionality of it?
I would defend the constitutionality, of course, of the False Claims Act,
Okay.
Senator.
Last question, if confirmed, would you commit to continuing DOJ's defense of the constitutionality of it? And will you assure the entire staff and funding levels to properly support and prosecute false claim cases?
Senator, the False Claims Act is so important, and especially by what you said with whistleblowers as well, and the protection and the money it brings back to our country. Yes, sir.
Thank you for your answers. Senator Durbin.
Thank you, Senator Grassley. Ms. Bondi, if you're successful in your nomination, this Democrat would like to give you 3 words of advice. Answer Grassley's letters. You'll never hear the end of it if you don't. At issue, I believe, in this nomination hearing is not your competence nor your experience. At issue is your ability to say no. More than any other cabinet official, the Attorney General has to be prepared to put the Constitution first and even tell the President of the United States you're wrong. The political danger and personal costs of such a decision are well documented. You have only to ask former Attorney General Jeff Sessions and Bill Barr, whom Donald Trump sacked for lack of loyalty. And so I have 3 basic questions I'd like to ask you. Most Americans believe that central to the peaceful transition of power in a democracy is the acceptance of the results of an election. To my knowledge, Donald Trump has never acknowledged the legal results of the 2020 election. Are you prepared to say today under oath without reservation that Donald Trump lost the presidential contest to Joe Biden in 2020?
Ranking Member Durbin, President Biden is the President of the United States. He was duly sworn in, and he is the President of the United States. There was a peaceful transition of power. President Trump left office and was overwhelmingly elected in 2024.
Do you have any doubts that Joe Biden had the majority of votes, electoral votes necessary to be elected president in 2020?
You know, Senator, all I can tell you as a prosecutor is from my firsthand experience. And I accept the results. I accept, of course, that Joe Biden is president of the United States. But what I can tell you is what I saw firsthand when I went to Pennsylvania as an advocate for the campaign. I was an advocate for the campaign, and I was on the ground in Pennsylvania, and I saw many things there. But do I accept the results? Of course I do. Do I agree with what happened? And I saw so much. You know, no one from either side of the aisle should want there to be any issues with election integrity. It needs to be free and fair, and the rules and the laws to be followed.
I think that question deserved a yes or no. And I think the length of your answer is an indication that you weren't prepared to answer yes. Have you heard the recording of President Trump on January 2nd, 2021, when he urged the Secretary of State of Georgia to, quote, find 11,780 votes and declare him the winner of that state?
No, I've heard about it through clips, but no, Senator, I've not heard it.
What was your reaction to President Trump making that call?
I would have to listen to the tape, Senator.
Well, the quote that I give you is exact. He said to the Georgia Secretary of State, find 11,780 votes.
Do you have the entire context of
Yeah.
that call? I feel like it was much longer than that and may
It
have been
is.
taken out of
It
context.
was an hour long.
Right.
And you can certainly listen to it. I hope you will. Every American should. As a former prosecutor, are you not concerned that the President of the United States called a state election official and asked him to find enough votes to change the results of the election?
Senator, I have not listened to the hour-long conversation, but it's my understanding that is not what he asked him to do.
You need to listen to it. Let me ask a third question. Do you believe that the January 6 rioters who've been convicted of violent assaults on police officers should be pardoned?
Senator, if confirmed as Attorney General of the United States, the pardons, of course, fall under the president. But if asked to look at those cases, I will look at each case and advise on a case-by-case basis, just as I did my entire career as a prosecutor.
You also advise the president on pardons. That's part of your responsibility as Attorney General. And so I'm asking you, do you believe that those who've been convicted of the January 6 riot, violent assaults on our police officers should be pardoned? That's a simple question.
So, Senator, I have not seen any of those files, of course. If confirmed and if asked to advise the president, I will look at each and every file. But let me be very clear in speaking to you. I condemn any violence on a law enforcement officer in this country.
Let me ask you about your work as a lobbyist for Ballard Partners. You did not list your current position as a partner at the lobbying firm, nor the work you've done for your Ballard partner clients, such as lobbying for the country of Qatar for $115,000 a month, and for corporate giants, Amazon and Uber, when you're asked about conflicts of interest. Why do you believe your work as a lobbyist does not constitute potential conflicts of interest?
Well, Senator, first, that was the amount my firm received. I believe multiple people represented the country of Qatar within my firm. My role, and I am very proud of the work that I did. It was a short time, and I wish it had been longer for Qatar, was anti-human trafficking efforts leading into the World Cup, which is something I'd like to talk about later, too. I was registered as FARA. along with many members of my firm. That was the sole portion of my representation for Qatar. Now, if there are any conflicts with anyone I represented in private practice, I would consult with the career ethics officials within the department and make the appropriate decision. I would also like to point out to you, I don't believe that I would be the first Attorney General who has represented and advocated for businesses in their past.
Of course not. The question is whether you will recuse yourself from any case involving your Ballard clients. One of those clients was the GEO Group, was it not?
Geo, yes,
A private prison company you lobbied for. It manages correctional institutions and detention facilities. The GEO Group has faced criticism for safety violations, inadequate health care, and poor management. The U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is GEO's largest source of revenue. Under the Trump administration, GEO stands to earn hundreds of millions of dollars by detaining immigrants if there is this mass deportation. Would you sense any conflict of interest if you're asked to judge the performance of this government contractor?
Senator, I will consult with the career ethics officials within the Department of Justice and make the appropriate decision.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Graham.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank
You
you.
forgot to say that John's family was from South Carolina.
The upstate, I'm sorry.
Yeah. well, Give you a pass on that. From Anderson, by the way. So listen, President Trump asked a bunch of us, who would you pick for Attorney General? How many of you got to ask that on our side? Probably didn't ask Dick, but he asked me. I said Pam Bondi. That's like an easy decision. I couldn't think of anybody more qualified that he knew, that he trusted. And it's okay to have, you were his lawyer, right?
Yes, sir. I represented him when they tried to impeach him the first time as part of White House Counsel, Office of Special Counsel.
Being Trump's lawyer prepares you for many things. So, yeah, you have a longstanding relationship with the president. He trusts you. That's a good thing. That's probably why President Kennedy picked his brother, Bobby Kennedy. I guess you can say no to your older brother. I'm sure he would. But this idea there's something bad is ridiculous. Who do you pick? You pick people you know. You pick people you trust, people that you're qualified. I'm glad he picked you. He knows you, he trusts you, and you're highly qualified. So the idea that there's something wrong with that is just absolutely ridiculous. So let's talk about the job you're about to have here. Do you support making certain drug cartels in Mexico foreign terrorist organization?
Senator, I personally went to Mexico. I personally dealt with these cartels when I was a state prosecutor, and they are a grave and violent threat
You
to our
consider
country. Yes, Senator.
Advising the president. Good, good. Now, when it comes to Crossfire Hurricane, are those days over if you're Attorney General?
Absolutely.
Okay. Lake and Riley, are you familiar with that case?
Sadly, I am, Senator Graham.
Do you know why the man who killed her was released from custody? He was paroled to the detention capacity at the Central Processing Center in El Paso, Texas. Now, that's not your call. You'll be DOJ. But do you agree with me that the statute regarding parole doesn't allow parole to be based on we don't have detention beds? There's nothing in that statute would authorize parole based on lack of capacity. Are you familiar with that statute?
Yes, sir, and that's frightening.
Yeah, well, it's frightening. Are you going to fix it?
I am going to do everything in my power to fix it
Well,
if confirmed as Attorney
You're going to
General.
advise President Trump we need more beds. Tom Homan's the guy that's going to do this, but would you as Attorney General say we need more bed space so Lake and Riley never happens again?
Senator, my job, if confirmed as Attorney General, will be to keep America safe.
Do you think we
And
need
that
more
include-
detention space?
And that includes having enough space for violent criminals, for people that should not be in this country who
Yeah.
have committed violent crimes.
To the
And Lake and
public.
Riley is one of many.
Yeah, but
victims.
41,000 beds in this country to detain people. We got like millions of people here illegally. We let this dude go because we didn't have any place to put him. I hope those days are over. And if Tom, you're listening out there, I hope you'll create enough detention space to make sure we don't find this dilemma ever again. Do you think we're at war? And if so, who with?
Oh, Senator, we're at war on so many fronts.
Are
Of
we at
cour-
war with ISIS?
Of course, we're at war with
They're,
ISIS.
they're at war with us. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely,
Do
Senator.
you think since our withdrawal from Afghanistan, threats to our homeland have gone up from ISIS?
Yes.
Okay, March 7th, 2024, General Corella. I assess ISIS-K retains the capability and will to attack the U.S. and Western interests abroad in as little as 6 months with little or no warning. That's March of 2024. General McKenzie, ISIS-K has a strong desire to attack the United States after it began to grow in Afghanistan following U.S. exit in August 2021. He also stated the threat to ISIS-K from ISIS-K is growing. Major General Quantock, the U.S. remains target number one for ISIS-K. Do you agree with that?
Senator, I don't have my security clearance, but from everything I've read and heard, ISIS is one of the greatest threats.
Okay, well, when you get your security clearance, you're going to find out these people are coming after us and they want to kill us. So I would like to have a strategy to deal with the ISIS threat that's beyond just the law enforcement model. Does that make sense to you that we should use every tool in the toolbox?
Senator, that includes wrapping in our state and local officials too, and better cooperation throughout our country and our world.
I totally agree. Do you support reauthorizing FISA in 2025?
Senator, I believe 702 is up in 2026.
Okay, I'm
I
sorry,
believe it's
26.
2026, and we will closely be looking at that. FISA is a very
Do you
important
agree
tool.
that the 702 provides important intel gathering capability to protect our nation?
Extremely important.
Okay. So Pam, you're about to step into a job that's one of the most important jobs in any democracy. Let's go back to pardons. If I'm a lawyer for somebody in jail, would you promise to listen to the application and read it before you made a decision?
Yes.
Okay. No matter who you are. Good. That's the way it works. People want to bargain with you up here. Will you do this? Will you do that? All I ask you to do is call it as you see it, hire good, competent people, and give the president the best legal advice you can, run the Department of Justice in a manner that other people would want to join it one day. Growing up, I had a fondness for the FBI. I watched the show, I think it's every Sunday, wanted to be an FBI agent. Right now, the FBI needs an image overhaul. So you have a real task ahead of you in two areas: to restore trust to many Americans who have lost trust in the Department of Justice, and to make sure that this country is safe from drug cartels that are killing 3,000 Americans every 2 weeks for money, to go after these people and to protect our homeland that's under siege. I think you're the perfect pick at one of the most dangerous times in American history, and I look forward to supporting you.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Whitehouse. Thank you, Chairman. Welcome, Ms. Bondi.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you for meeting with me. I greatly appreciate that.
It was a pleasure. Ms. Bondi, you were a courtroom prosecutor for a great many years. As a courtroom prosecutor, did you ever have an enemies list?
No, Senator.
And you went on to be Florida's Attorney General. As Florida's Attorney General, did you ever have an enemies list?
No, Senator.
As Florida's Attorney General, you were responsible for hiring into the Florida Department of Attorney General, correct?
Senator, the Attorney General's office in Florida is the third largest in the state, approximately 1,400 employees and approximately 400 lawyers. Only California and Texas are our bigger offices.
And you were
So,
responsible
yes.
for hiring into that office while you were Attorney General?
Yes.
Would you
Senator.
have hired someone into the Florida Attorney General's office who you knew had an enemies list?
Senator, to cut to the chase, you're clearly talking about Kash Patel. I don't believe he has an enemies list. He made a quote on TV, which I have not heard. I saw your sign, or Senator Durbin's sign, about Kash. But I know that Kash Patel has had 60 jury trials as a public defender, as a prosecutor. He has great experience in the Intel department. Department of Defense. I have known Cash, and I believe that Cash is the right person at this time for this job. You'll have the ability to question Mr. Patel.
And I'm
when-
questioning you
when
right
you
now
do.
about whether you will enforce an enemies list that he announced publicly on television.
Oh, Senator, I'm sorry. There will never be an enemies list within the Department of Justice.
Thank you. The FBI's, what is the FBI's role in national security and counterterrorism, and how important is that role?
You know, Senator, I believe now more than ever, counterterrorism is so important and vital in our country. We are facing such incredible threats here and abroad. If I'm sure many of you saw former FBI Director Wray's interview on 60 Minutes, he talked about the threats that, frankly, again, I don't have my security clearance,
Yeah,
but the
but
threats
given that-
facing us, Senator, from China right now that are so great. With
Given
the
that-
sleeper cells within our country.
Given that importance, is it responsible to call for shutting down the FBI's counterterrorism and national security work? And will you, as Attorney General, impede or shut down the FBI's counterterrorism and national security work? Two
Senator,
questions.
Senator, I believe that national security is vital right now for our country on so many fronts. I could continue to
And
discuss
the
many
FBI's
others.
role in that,
And the FBI plays a vital role in counterterrorism
which you
throughout
will
our
or will
world.
not shut down?
I will look at each agency. I have no intention of shutting anything down right now, Senator. I am not in that office yet. And if confirmed, I will look at each individual agency and how it should be managed. But counterterrorism right now in our world is vital.
You have said that Department of Justice prosecutors will be prosecuted in the Trump administration. What Department of Justice prosecutors will be prosecuted and why?
I said that on TV. I said prosecutors will be prosecuted, to finish the quote, if bad. Investigators will be investigated. You know, we all take an oath, Senator, to uphold the law. None of us are above the law. Let me give you a really good example of a bad lawyer within the Justice Department, a guy named Klein Smith, who altered a FISA warrant, one of the most important things we can do in this country. So will everyone be held to an equal, fair system of justice if I am the next Attorney General? Absolutely. And no one is above the law.
Under what circumstances will you prosecute journalists for what they write?
I believe in the freedom of speech. Only if anyone commits a crime. It's pretty basic, Senator, with anything, with any victim. And this goes back to my entire career for 18 years as a prosecutor and then 8 years as Florida's Attorney General. You find the facts of the case, you apply the law in good faith, and you treat everyone fairly.
And it would not be appropriate for a prosecutor to start with a name and look for a crime. It's a prosecutor's job to start with a crime and look for a name, correct?
Senator, I think that is the whole problem with the weaponization that we have seen the last 4 years and what's been happening to Donald Trump. They targeted Donald Trump. They went after him, actually starting back in 2016. They targeted his campaign. They have launched countless investigations against him.
There we go.
That will
Well, good
not
God,
be the
dude.
case if I am
Muted.
Attorney General. I will not
No one noticed.
politicize that office. I will not target people.
No one noticed
simply
I was
because
muted.
of their political affiliation. Justice will be administered even-handedly throughout this country.
I'm with
Senator,
you on
we've
this,
got to
Scott.
bring this country back together. We've got to move forward, or we're going to
Well,
lose
you
our
missed some good
country.
comedy
Yeah,
there.
I think the concern is that
I just got through saying like
weaponization
they
of
did to
Justice
Trump, and then she
Department
brought it up.
may well occur under your tenure. And we want to make sure that that's not the case, that you remain independent, that you remain able to and willing to tell the president no when that's necessary to protect the Constitution. and the
Sound better
integrity of
now?
the department. So that's where I'm asking these questions. We talked in the meeting about the contacts policy that has prevailed really since Senator Hatch sat in that chair and
Oh,
demanded
yeah,
it of
Hatch.
the Clinton Justice Department through all the administration since then, with the exception of a brief period under Attorney General Gonzalez, which he corrected and which
Did
did not
Heidi
end
see
well
hear anything
for
I
him.
said to her?
There has been a contacts policy that limits contacts between the White House and the Department of Justice to a very few senior officials on each side. In your role as Attorney General, if you are confirmed, will you maintain,
Heidi, did you hear anything I
defend,
said
and
to you?
enforce that longstanding contacts policy?
Senator, yes, I will meet with White House counsel and I will meet with the appropriate officials and
It's early.
follow
for
the
me.
contacts policy.
My time has expired. Thank you, Ms. Bondi.
Senator Cornyn.
Bondi, your
Heidi, how you
testimony
doing? I
is
said I was going to call you
music
OG Heidi because we have
to my
another
ears.
Heidi that you should meet.
One of the things that I
And make sure
have been
you
most
ring the
concerned about
bell
over the last,
so you know when
certainly
I'm
the last
live.
4 years and extending
I'm doing
back
like 5 nights a
during
week.
President Trump's
And
administration
Shelley will
is
be live today.
weaponization and politicalization of the Department of
That's
Justice,
pretty much all of it.
which together with the FBI is one of the most important institutions in this country.
It's okay.
If people don't trust that their elected officials will faithfully enforce the law or administer equal justice under the law, they've lost faith in America. And that disturbs me
Rumble.
greatly, and I know it does you too, based on what you said. So I'm
Rumble,
delighted
we only
to
got
hear
3
you,
likes, Rumble.
say
We
what you have
need, we
said.
need your help.
But I
You're
want
part of the
to
team.
talk about some
there.
specific topics. Time is short.
Important part
First,
of the
the
team.
border. I believe President Biden and Vice President Harris had presided over one of the biggest humanitarian and public safety disasters in American history. Senator
Their
Cruz and I
administration.
represent a state with 1,200 miles of common border with America. But as you pointed out with fentanyl, what happens at the border doesn't stay at the border.
Yeah, look at their
poisoning
channel.
is the most common cause of death of young people between the age of 18 and 45. We know where it comes from. The precursors come from China. They go to the cartels, they mix them up, make them look like innocuous pills, and young people take them and die. It's just that simple and that tragic. So there's just so much.
The easiest way to take out a lot of people
the
is to
border,
spike
but,
the drugs.
you know, I know people voted for President Trump in large part because of his promise to restore security at the border. Will you do everything within your power as Attorney General to enforce the laws on the book, including the President's executive orders, which I anticipate he will be signing on January the 20th when he is sworn in, and help
Hell yeah.
do everything you can and the Department of Justice can is to restore security to our southern border?
Yes, Senator, absolutely.
One example is, of course, if you come here to the from anywhere in the country and you show up at the border under the Biden and Harris administration policies, you'll simply be released into the interior of the country, either to await a trial date, which may never occur due to the enormous backlog, or you will simply be paroled. And I know parole has a special connotation in the criminal law, but in this context, as you know, it's designed to be administered on a case-by-case basis. Yet President Biden and Vice President Harris had granted parole, that is, released people into the United States on a categorical basis, or anybody who shows up, or because they don't have the detention facilities to keep them. So do you believe Lake and Riley would be alive today if President Biden and Vice President Harris had enforced the law and secured the border?
Senator, he should not have been in our country. And then Lake and Riley would have been alive. And I don't think it's just Lake and Riley. There are so many victims throughout our country. Not only that, we're all familiar with the violent gangs who are coming into our country, walking into our country freely through the open border. The cartels, the gangs, Venezuela's let people out of their prisons. It's been reported. I don't have the security clearance yet to see what's happening, but I know We all know there are criminals throughout our country, and it is my commitment to you on both sides of the aisle that I will do everything in my power with the agencies that fall under me if I am confirmed to make America safe again. We have to do that, Senator.
Well, many of us, of course, see classified information on the Intelligence Committee or just generally in our duties as a senator. And so you're not going to feel any better about the blinking lights, the danger that Director Ray has talked about. In my closing moments here, I want to revisit an issue that is of particular importance. 60% of the president's daily brief, which is the intelligence brief that the Director of National Intelligence and the CIA director delivered to the president, comes from Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. I've called this the most important law that most people have never heard of. I know you have, and you're familiar with it, but I want to ask you a few questions about that. It's been called the crown jewel of U.S. intelligence. And of course, it cannot be legally used to spy on American citizens. And if it is, it ought to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the
Truth
law.
Warrior, what's
I know
up,
you would
man? How
agree
you
with that.
doing?
But there've been some, as you know, and as you pointed out
I bet
to
you are.
Senator Graham, we have a temporary extension of the existing authorization for the use of the intelligence community to target foreign
Ellie,
threats
good
to
morning.
our national security that expires in 2026.
Morning.
And I'd like
How you doing?
you just to confirm
Can't
here on the
remember
record
whether
that
you're the
you
one who
will
doesn't like that or not.
enforce
You said
that
it
law,
first.
and you can support the law as it is written.
Senator, I haven't read the entire 702 in front of you, but I will commit to reading that and doing everything I can to keep America safe again.
Of course you will. So Director Ratliff, who's going to be, I'm going to go to his hearing on for CIA director. Of course, he was confirmed as Director of National.
When are you going to go?
Intelligence.
It's right now.
Some have argued that in order to query or look at
We can always
lawfully
switch over too, if
collected,
you guys want. If this gets too dry.
FISA 702 product, that you need to get a warrant requirement in order to show probable cause that a crime, including espionage, perhaps has been committed. But Director Ratliff has written that a warrant requirement
Oh,
may not
man.
achieve
Great
its
haul on
intended
the
objectives and could
gifted
hinder
memberships right there.
national
I
security
love all those
efforts.
people.
Do you share
Even our
Director
new friend.
Ratcliffe's concerns?
I would read his memo and I will speak to you after I read his memo, Senator.
Well, we need to have I hope you and I can continue this conversation after this because I think there's a lot of misinformation with regard to how Section 702 works. I'm happen to be one of the members of the Senate Intelligence Committee. We read that product on a regular basis, and it is not used to spy on American people. I think what's fundamentally missing is a lack of trust in the intelligence community, including the FBI, which I'm hoping you and Mr. Patel can restore.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's go.
Senator Klobuchar.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a good meeting this week. Thank you for that. And I appreciated your priorities on human trafficking that you mentioned today. That
Yeah,
work,
thank you
as
for
well
that.
as fentanyl, and some of your other prosecution experience. We had some similar backgrounds in doing that.
Klobuchar. Oh
And
my God.
I want to talk about, first of all, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Minnesota.
She's going to be
One of the premier offices in the
Welcome,
country.
Lady Out of
This
Sky, the
office
Truth
has been
Warrior,
instrumental
Madcore,
in combating,
Mofo, Sky Free
violent
Freedom,
crime,
and
dismantling
Bellator
street gangs,
Next.
taking fentanyl
The
off our streets,
winner's
enforcing
circle.
civil rights
Thanks,
laws
Shelley, for the
after
gift of
George
membership.
Floyd's murder, ensuring victims of fraud get justice. Do you agree that it should be a priority to support U.S. attorneys, frontline prosecutors, and case agents who work hard every single day on our streets?
Senator, I think that is one of the most important things
Let's see if we can
in
answer
our
no.
country right now. And there are so many good men and women within the Justice Department throughout our country, as well as all the law enforcement agencies. Yes, they work very hard and they will be supported.
Me too,
The,
Truth Warrior.
I'm
Me
concerned
too.
about some of the proposals that could put cuts in the COPS program, burn JAG programs. I know you're familiar with those. Senator Mikowski and I lead the COPS.
Our motto here is
reauthorization
we'd rather
bill.
know the truth than be
Just
right. So
will
we
you commit
always
to continue to
drill down
support
to the
those
root
programs?
cause. and
Senator, I will
understand
read
things. We walk
everything
it in.
about
We don't
those
jump the shark
programs
here.
because that is a top priority of mine, and I would love to meet with you on that and Senator Murkowski to support law enforcement and those programs.
Thank you. Independence from political interference is vital to the legitimacy and success of the Department of Justice. I was honestly troubled
Oh,
by
I knew
some of the
remember
answers
Scott.
to Senator Durbin's questions. We will continue that discussion, I'm sure, on the committee about the election. But I want to focus on the investigation, charging decisions. As a prosecutor, I'm sure you had this experience. I would get calls from people, hey, that's just a kid, give him a break. And I remember one answer I gave was, he's 40 years old, he's not a kid. But that kind of interference is attempted all the time. And one of my concerns here, whether it's a call from a friend, a corporate lobbyist, a White House, it has been very clear that the attorney generals of both parties have established clear policies to ensure the White House doesn't tamper with criminal investigations and prosecutions. At Attorney General Mike McCasey's hearing, he made clear that any attempt by the White House, and these are the words, to interfere with the case is not to be countenanced. Any call to a line assistant or to a United States attorney from a political person relating to a case is to be cut and curtailed. Do you agree with this statement?
Senator, yes, I believe that the Justice Department must be independent and must act independently. The number one job is to enforce the law fairly and even-handedly, and that's what
you
will
will
be
get
done
thanked
if
as
I
soon
am
as possible.
confirmed as the Attorney General.
So you will provide an insurance to every member of this committee that the Justice Department will only follow the facts and the law, and the White House will play no role in cases investigated or brought?
Senator, it will be my job, if confirmed as Attorney General, to make those decisions. Politics will not play a part. I've demonstrated that my entire career as a prosecutor, as Attorney General, and I will continue to do that if you confirm me as the 87th Attorney General of the United States of America.
In an earlier question, with some of my colleagues talked about China and the risk, yet you have a nominee from this incoming administration, Kash Patel, the pick to
Oh,
head
no.
the FBI, have serious concerns about him, has referred to the FBI's Intel division, which
You read
is
his book?
responsible for protecting us from foreign adversaries like China,
Mhm.
as, quote, the biggest problem the FBI has had. And he said that he wants to, quote, break that component out of the FBI. Do you
She has
agree?
not read the book.
I have
We're
not
reading the
seen
book
those
every Monday
comments
night,
from Mr. Patel.
7
I
p.m.
would
Eastern.
review them,
Government gangsters by
but
Cash
we have
Patel.
to do
Join
everything
us.
we can to protect our country. Again, Mr. Patel would fall under me and the Department of Justice, and I will ensure that all laws are followed. And so
And they're
will
good
he.
buddies. So
Okay.
another reason why, good call.
There are many decisions made by the FBI director, having seen a number of them do their work, that can be made. While I agree you would be the boss of Kash Patel, I'm not sure that you would be able to intervene with every decision or position that he had or know what he's doing. So let's continue. Do you agree it is a duty of the Justice Department to defend the laws Congress passes? And will you commit to do even when the president may disagree with an act campaigned against its passage or called for its repeal? President Reagan's AG, William French Smith, said the department policy was the department has the duty to defend an act of Congress
Congress here.
whenever a reasonable argument can be made in its support. So I'm specifically
Where?
referring to the 2022 law that I long led that we passed to empower Medicare to negotiate drug prices, major savings for seniors. Will you commit to defend the law against the lawsuits from Big Pharma?
Senator, I was involved in big pharma cases when I was Attorney General of the state of Florida, and I will commit to protect the laws of the United States of America.
Okay, thank you. That would also, same question, with the Supreme Court is going to be hearing a challenge to the Affordable Care Act's coverage of preventative services. And despite the fact that you twice joined
Thank you,
suits to have
Scott.
the entire
We'll-
Affordable
we'll-
Care Act
we'll get your clip, man.
invalidated,
I promise.
will you commit to defending this law?
Yeah, I believe this is very different. It's a very isolated, it's different. It's not the entire Affordable Care Act, but I will, it's pending litigation, of course, within the department.
Since the 1990s, the Freedom of Access to Clinic
Thank you,
Entrances
Heidi.
Act has
Thank you.
protected patients, providers, and facilities that provide reproductive health services. Will you commit to continuing to enforce the FACE Act to address violence and threats against those providing reproductive health care services?
Senator, the FACE Act not only protects abortion clinics, but it also protects pregnancy centers and people going for counseling. The law should be applied
back court?
even-handedly. Yes, Senator.
So you'll uphold the enforcement of that law?
I'll uphold the enforcement of the law, Senator.
Okay, and I will ask my antitrust questions in the next round. We had a good discussion about that, and I do appreciate the nominee that has been put in place for the antitrust division, and there's incredibly important work that has to be done in that division. So
Gail
thank you.
Slater is remarkable. Thank you.
Thank you.
I thank all of my colleagues for abiding by the 7-minute rule. Before I call on Senator Lee, I want everybody to plan on our first break would be about 11:50, and that would be 30
Whew.
minutes for lunch.
What?
Senator Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Bondi, for
Thank
being here today. I
It's
too
in an
share the
hour.
sentiment that Gail Slater is great.
What are you gonna do after lunch?
And just thrilled that you're here.
Mike
to do
Lee,
what you
y'all.
deserve. I'd like to talk to you as a longtime lawyer and one who has handled a variety of criminal matters about the Fourth Amendment. What can you tell us about the Fourth Amendment's warrant requirement and why it's so important?
Well, the warrant requirement is so important, which I've dealt with that since I was in my 20s as a state prosecutor. A warrant is so important because it protects citizens' rights.
The
and
Pam
that's why
undo a
it's so
button?
important.
And it does that specifically because under the Fourth Amendment, you're required to go to a judge and you're required to show a judge evidence providing probable cause. And based on that probable cause, you can describe with particularity the things or persons to be searched or seized. And on that basis, the judge may issue or not issue the warrant, but without it, you can't get it. Now, this is time consuming, no doubt, right?
Oh, I've done many of them. Yes, it's very
I-
time consuming, Senator.
I bet you
And
have.
there's probably not a law enforcement officer anywhere in the world who wouldn't acknowledge that they could save time if they didn't have to go about it. And yet we require it. Why is that so important that we do it?
Well, it's so important for the reasons you just laid out. When I said I've done many of them, I've approved them and not approved them as a state prosecutor, because law enforcement, there are checks and balances, and law enforcement must bring these warrants to prosecutors to see if there is sufficient evidence. Then after that's done, they have to take them to a judge to have a judge sign them. So there have to be sufficient checks and balances throughout our system.
So even after you as Attorney General, as the chief law enforcement officer and prosecutorial authority in the state of Florida approved it within your office, you still had to go to the judge. And if it was late at night, early in the morning, didn't matter when, you had to find a judge.
All hours of the night. That was more when I was a state prosecutor. As Attorney General, the office of the statewide prosecutor, Nick Cox, would have done that many, many times at all hours throughout the night and woken up many, many judges throughout the state of Florida.
Is there an exception to the warrant requirement that exists anytime it would be inconvenient for prosecutors or anytime national security might be involved?
I'm not certain about national security, but absolutely no for a state
Right.
prosecutor.
Yeah. There's
No
there's-
exception.
There's no catch-all exception that just says this is important or it would be inconvenient for the prosecutor, and with good reason.
Right.
We've learned through sad experience over many hundreds of years, not only in our own country, but also in that of our mother country, what happens when you don't have this in the loop. So you've been asked today a little bit about Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, also known as FISA. There are those who have repeatedly assured members of this committee, including myself, that don't worry, content of phone calls or electronic communications involving American citizens, sometimes resulting in the quote unquote incidental collection of American citizens' private conversations. Don't worry, their Fourth Amendment rights are just fine. And yet, when they incidentally collect the communications of American citizens, either because they're perhaps unwittingly talking to somebody who might be an agent of a foreign power and themselves under 702 surveillance, they get onto this big database. And at times, there are those in the government, including the Federal Bureau of Investigation, who have gotten into that database and done so, of course, without a warrant because there currently is no warrant requirement. This has the effect of what we call a de facto backdoor warrantless search. Would you agree with me that that is potentially concerning anytime an American citizen's private conversations are intercepted, stored, whether as an incidental collection or otherwise? They ought not be searched without some kind of probable cause showing. I assume you'd agree with me on that.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's important. Sometimes people will defend that by saying national security is involved, as if that's the beginning and the end of the inquiry. That has never been the case. And I hope and pray it never will be the case, because that's not what the Fourth Amendment says,
I cleared that
not
up
what
for
it
you.
does, not what it
Graham.
ever can be. So
Your
it's
question
my
there.
sincere hope that the next time FISA 702 comes up for reauthorization, Congress finally do what it has been avoiding for a long time, which is to ensure that this doesn't happen. We've heard again and again from people who, if you're confirmed to this position, will soon be your predecessors, prior occupants of the position to which you've been nominated and to which Mr. Patel has been nominated. Don't worry, we have good people. Don't worry, we have good systems in place. Don't worry, it's as good as a warrant requirement, the internal approval procedure that we have within our system. And yet we found out time and time again that this has happened by some accounts, hundreds of thousands of times. These things have been accessed where searches for an American citizen's private communications that have been intercepted and stored through incidental collection have been searched without those safeguards being met, including instances where people just wanted to check on, to cite one example, whether his father was cheating on his mother, or in other instances, doing background checks on someone looking to lease an apartment that he owned and was looking to rent out. This is unacceptable, and we've got to fix it. Speaking of unacceptable,
Small bottles of water.
you've seen
Unacceptable.
over the last few years the weaponization of government, specifically within the Department of Justice, against law-abiding Americans. Law-abiding Americans whose offense was something along the lines of, them exercising their constitutional rights, ranging from Catholics attempting to practice their faith, to parents showing up to school board meetings, to people showing up to engage in peaceful protesting outside of abortion clinics. As Attorney General, how will you prevent the weaponization of the Department of Justice against Americans?
And Senator, you just gave the classic example of what's been happening regarding the weaponization. Going after parents at a school board meeting has got to stop. For practicing your religion, sending informants into Catholic churches must stop.
What about branding parents as domestic terrorists or trying to incarcerate one's political opponent as a sitting president of the United States?
Will stop, must stop. Your Senator.
It is exactly the sort of answer I was hoping and expecting to receive from you, and I look forward to doing.
I think what we're
everything
going to
I
find
can
with
to
Pam
get
is
you
going to be like
confirmed. I've
50-50
been
split
pleased with
here.
your answers thus far.
They're probably going to like a
Enjoyed,
lot of things. And you're
knowing you,
probably, some
considering
people
you a
aren't going to
friend for
like
many
some
years,
things
and
about
look
her.
forward to the great things you will do.
You know,
As Attorney General of
we
the
have to
United
look for
States,
those
you have my emphatic
key
support
markers
and my vote.
in
Thank
this.
you, Senator.
She won't be 100%
Senator Coons.
anybody's
Thank
book,
you, Mr. Chairman.
but she may win enough
to your family and
to
supporters. Thank you for your service, and I look forward
garner
to our
your
conversation today.
a chance
I have a
with people.
simple three-factor test
You
when
know?
considering the executive branch nominees before us.
Now,
Do you have the
Mr. Coons is
qualifications and
going to
experience to do the
coon
job,
it up here for a minute.
policy views to do the job in the best interest of the American people, and the character and integrity to conduct your job, and yours in particular, with the independence that the role requires. You demonstrably have the relevant experience. I understand we will not see eye to eye on some or even many policies, but we had a constructive conversation last week about our shared interest in fighting the opioid epidemic, countering human trafficking, criminal justice reform, and supporting law enforcement. But I need to know that you share a core value, ensuring the Department of Justice remains free from partisan or political influence, in particular by the White House. So I look forward to our discussion about that today. As Attorney General, if confirmed, who would be your client?
My oath would be to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. The people of America would be my client. And it is also my job to advise the president. My client are the people of America.
Bless you,
A simple
bless you,
question of
Scott, for taking
constitutional
care of him.
interpretation. Is President-elect
Any good,
Trump
son? I know it's
eligible
tough.
to run
I know you
for
see a lot
another
of
term as president? in
comments going out and
2028?
out the crowd, and I'm, I feel
No,
with you
Senator,
guys
not unless they
on that.
change the Constitution.
Thank you. One of the concerns I've raised with you is safeguarding the Department of Justice's independence in the face of some promises on the campaign trail by then candidate Trump that he would use the department to target his political adversaries, or that he might interfere with prosecution. What would you do if your career DOJ prosecutors came to you with a case to prosecute, grounded in the facts and law,
This
but
is
the White House
bullshit.
directs you to drop the case?
It ain't gonna happen.
Senator, if I thought
Hate
that would
this
happen,
question.
I would not be sitting here today.
Right. Exactly.
That will not happen. Will not happen.
So why this
Every
bullshit
case
question?
will be prosecuted based on the facts.
Why
and the
this
law
bullshit
that is
question is
applied.
happening? Right. Why this bullshit question is happening? Whoa. We've already heard the answer to like 10 times. I'm gonna go ahead and do these. All right. So first of all, Scott Hotvic, welcome to the winner circle as a paying member. I appreciate you supporting the channel, and your name will be scrolling at the bottom of the screen every episode, and I will thank you personally every episode. So thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. And let's also do this while another bullshit question from a Democrat's coming in. Wrong one. This one.
Up there from Vietnam, it has to do. I can't imagine a more beautiful thing. It's cold. I can tell you all about it. I mean, look at this thing. When I find it, it's out of anything.
Shelly, thank you for getting the 5 memberships out there to 5 awesome people. And that is let's see. Okay, a Lady Autumn Sky, welcome back to the Winner Circle. Truth Warrior, welcome to the Winner Circle. Madcore, welcome back to the Winner Circle. And Scott Free Freedom, welcome back to the Winner Circle, as well as Bellator Sinex, welcome back to the member circle. Members, the Winner Circle. And make sure you thank Shelly for that awesome gift, this awesome gift of memberships. All right, let's get back to it. Hopefully the question has gotten better
Of a
now.
criminal violation by a White House official, including even the president, would you bring in a special prosecutor?
Senator, that's a hypothetical. I can tell you what I do know is special prosecutors have been abused in the past on both sides. We have seen that for many, many years. They have cost the taxpayers countless dollars, countless. And I will look at each situation on a case-by-case basis and consult the appropriate career ethics officials within the department to make that decision.
Attorney General, do you think special counsels need to be confirmed by the Senate?
I will follow the law and I will consult with the appropriate ethics officials regarding the law. Right now, they do not need to be Senate confirmed, of course.
But you did sign an 11th Circuit brief arguing that they should be.
I will follow the law, Senator. That's why I said that.
Understood, but I was just getting to the clarity about the difference between a
Absolutely.
position you've advocated and what the current law is. Thank you for that.
Get back in the cut corner,
Look,
Coons.
bluntly, to me, refusing to answer a hypothetical when there is clear and concrete previous history raises some concerns for me. I think Chris Wray has done an outstanding job as FBI director at avoiding political pressure. And although he was chosen by President Trump, he's being driven out so that he can be replaced. My perception, I've not yet met with Mr. Patel, by a loyalist who has publicly said he will do what the president asks him. Given that Attorney General Barr was asked to go find evidence of election interference and improprieties, went and looked for the evidence and said, I can't find any,
He didn't really
and
look.
was then dismissed.
Dude,
I'm just going to
we
ask you
all
one
know.
last time. Can you
We all
clarify
know.
for me that in following ethics and the law, you'd be willing to resign if ordered to do something improper?
Senator, I wouldn't work at a law firm. I wouldn't be a prosecutor. I wouldn't be attorney general. If anyone
This is-
asked me to do something improper.
This is the hardest part about
And
these.
I felt I had to carry that out. Of course, I would not do that. That's one of the main things you learn when you're a young prosecutor is to do the right thing. And I believe that has continued with me throughout my very long career.
As we discussed,
Mhm.
protecting American invention and innovation, American intellectual property is a real concern of mine and of several others on this committee. I look forward to talking with you about that pressing concern. But the most important question I had for you today is whether you will be willing and able to stand up to politicization and interference in the Department of Justice. And I look forward to further clarification from you about the specifics
too.
of that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
just-
Senator.
Thank you.
Senator Cruz would be next, but he's not here, so I call on Senator
Oh.
Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Cruz ain't
Ms.
here.
Bondi, welcome. Congratulations.
Well, this will be good. This guy's awesome
Um,
most time.
Can we agree that legitimacy is important to America's criminal justice system?
Yes, Senator.
Can we agree that legitimacy is important to the Department of Justice, which in part administers our criminal justice system?
Yes, Senator.
And if Americans come to believe that our criminal justice system or our Department of Justice is acting illegitimately, that makes Americans less likely to accept the results of that system, does it not?
Yes, Senator.
And that makes Americans less likely to follow the substantive laws that we pass that are administered by the Department of Justice. Isn't that true?
Yes, Senator.
And if that happens, we have chaos, don't we?
Chaos.
And the social contract is breached, isn't it?
Yes.
Do you remember a person by the name of Michael Avenatti?
Yes.
Several years ago, he was a media star here in Washington.
An attorney, correct?
Yes. He was a media star. And many members of our media loved him because he persistently bashed Donald Trump. And he was on TV every day. He was on CNN more than Wolf Blitzer. Do you know where Mr. Avenatti is today?
I believe he's sitting in prison, Senator.
He's in jail because he was a crook. And the Department of Justice helped put him there, didn't it?
Yes, Senator.
Do you remember a gentleman by the name of Sam Bankman-Fried?
Yes, Senator.
Boy genius. So smart and so powerful that he thought he could command the tides. So smart and so powerful and so rich that he would go to meetings with serious people like Bill Clinton, like Tony Blair, looking like a slob, looking like a fourth runner-up to a John Belushi lookalike contest. And he thought it was cute. Where's Mr. Bankman-Fried today?
I believe he is in prison, and I believe that's from the Netflix series I saw as well.
Mm-hmm. Because he's a crook.
Hilarious.
And who helped put him there?
The Department of Justice, Senator.
Can we agree that there's some really, really good men and women at the Department of Justice?
many, many great men and women in the Justice Department as well, Senator, as all the law enforcement agencies that fall within the Department of Justice. They're out there risking their lives, especially the law enforcement officers, every single day.
Can we agree, though, that there have been and may be today some bad people at the Department of Justice?
Yes, Senator.
We don't know for sure because for the last 4 years, the curtains there have been tightly drawn. But I think a minority of people there have delegitimized America's criminal justice system. The most destabilizing act that I saw in the past 4 years, maybe in the history of the department, is when Attorney General Garland decided on the basis of dubious facts and untested legal theories to criminally prosecute a former president of the United States. And not only that, this is the special part. He decided to do it after the former president of the United States had announced that he was going to run against Attorney General Garland's boss, didn't he?
Senator, are you referring to going after a political opponent?
I think so. Now, this is one person's opinion. That kind of stupid takes a plan. And I say that because, number one, this is America. That had never happened before in America. That's the sort of thing that happens in a country whose Powerball jackpot is 287 chickens and a goat. It doesn't happen here. And I call it stupid because it broke the seal. It broke the seal. It normalized it. There are a lot of ambitious prosecutors in America, Democrat and Republican. And I'll bet you right now there's some prosecutor in a particular state thinking about, well, maybe I ought to file criminal charges against President Biden's inner circle for conspiring to conceal his mental decline. And that's the road we're headed down. And you've got to fix it, Counselor. You've got to fix it. And here's what, in my judgment, what I would ask you to do. Find out who the bad guys are and the bad women and get rid of them. Find out who the good people are and lift them up. But do it on the basis of facts and evidence and fairness. Because the temptation of some people is going to be, they're going to tell you, look, two wrongs don't make a right, but they do make it even. Don't resist that temptation. Help us restore legitimacy to the Department of Justice.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Ms. Bondi, and to your family.
Thank you.
Thank you for visiting with me in my office. And I have to say, I'm sympathetic always to a former attorney general, particularly having been one myself. But I am, I have to say also, really troubled, deeply disturbed by some of your responses and non-responses to the question that you've been asked today. You say the right things, that you're going to be the people's lawyer. That's what you have to say to be here. But I believe being the people's lawyer means you have to be able to say no to the President of the United States. You have to speak truth to power. You have to be able to say that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. You dodged that question when you were asked directly by Senator Durbin. You have to be able to say that January 6th insurrectionists.
Oh,
who
here we
committed
go
violence
again.
Shouldn't be pardoned. You have to be able to say that
Here we
a
go
nominee for
again.
the FBI director who says he has an enemy list. And that's just the beginning of what he has said in terms of
What's up, Brad? How you doing, man?
politicizing, deeply
Thank you
weaponizing
for
the
being over there in
FBI
Rumble.
against political
supporting the channel.
opponents, that he shouldn't be the FBI director. You know, we have some history here with your predecessors, Barr, Sessions, and others, who perhaps sincerely, when they sat where you are now, said that they would say no, but they were working with a president that expected them to be his Roy Cohn, his personal attorney. Do you really think that you can avoid the disgrace that they encountered or the repercussions from the White House if
Here we go
you say
again.
no to the president? And so my
Here we
question
go
to you
again.
is, can you say no to the president of the United States when he asks you to do something unethical or illegal?
Senator, first, I need to clarify something that you said, that I have to sit up here and say these things. No, I don't. I sit up here and speak the truth. I'm not going to sit up here
Yeah.
and say anything that I need to say to get confirmed by this body. I don't have to say anything. I will answer the questions to the best of my ability.
Well,
And
let me ask
honestly,
you, an individual who says that he is going to, quote, come after, end quote, people he alleges, quote, help Joe Biden rig the presidential elections, that he has a list of people
If they're corrupt and
who are
guilty,
part of this
they should
deep
be
state who
prosecuted.
should be
End
prosecuted.
of story.
That he's going to close down the FBI building on his first day in office. Is that a person who appropriately should be the FBI director? Aren't
Sen-
those comments inappropriate? Shouldn't you disavow them and ask him to recant them?
What?
Senator,
Get
I
the
am
hell
not
outta here,
familiar
man.
with all those comments. I have not discussed those comments with Mr. Patel. What I do know
Well,
is
I'm
Mr.
asking you
Patel,
for your
excuse
view.
me, what I do know is Mr. Patel was a career prosecutor. He was a career public defender defending people. And he also has great experience within the intelligence community. What I can sit here and tell you is Mr. Patel, if he works with running the FBI, if he is confirmed, and if I am confirmed, he will follow the law if I am the Attorney General of the United States of America, and I don't believe he would do anything otherwise.
Well, let me just submit that the response that I would have hoped to hear from you is that those comments are inappropriate and that you will ask him to disavow or recant them when he comes before this committee.
Yeah,
Because
seriously,
they are
man.
indeed chilling to fair enforcement
Seriously?
and the rule of law. Let me ask you on
Blumenthal.
another topic.
You're a joke. Swamp creature.
When we met, I welcomed your support for the goals of the Kids Online Safety Act. And Senator Blackburn and I have spent a lot of time, devoted a lot of effort to the passage of the Kids Online Safety Act, which happened by an overwhelming vote of 91-3, 72 co-sponsors, including Vice President-elect Vance. I appreciated our discussion and your support for protecting kids online when we met last week. I'm hopeful that this area is one where we can work together. Can we count on your support in working together to protect kids online?
Senator, absolutely, and thank you for that legislation, and Senator Blackburn. I believe in this world right now, we have to find the things we have in common, and that is certainly one of them, Senator, protecting our children from online predators. You've done so much on that front, and I thank you. I attempted to do that as well when I was Attorney General, but I am committed to working with you on anything we can do to protect our children. throughout this country. When I was Attorney General, we started something called From Instant Message to Instant Nightmare, and educating parents about online predators. And that also, Senator, is one of the core functions of the FBI, the cyber unit. They sit there, these agents sit there all day long and investigate child predators. We tell parents constantly, you think
Ms.
you're talking
Bondi,
to another
I
child,
apologize.
and you're
I'm
not.
going to interrupt you. I welcome
Sure.
your positive response. I have
Oh,
one
go ahead.
more question that I'm going to try to fit
Sure.
into this round. TikTok will be banned unless it is sold, because it has become a tool for the Chinese to collect information and do surveillance and endanger our national security. Can you commit
More so,
that you
just
will
like
enforce that
demoralizing
law promptly
convert
and effectively? And I
younger
ask this question
generations.
because President Trump's pick for your Solicitor General in the Department of Justice went to the United States Supreme Court arguing that the ban should be delayed. Will you commit to enforce that law on your first day when you are, if you are confirmed?
Senator, as I discussed with you during our meeting, that is pending litigation within the Department of Justice.
Well, it's pending litigation, but will you enforce that law?
I can't discuss pending litigation, but I will talk to all the career
Well, again,
prosecutors who are handling the case. Absolutely, Senator. Discuss with them.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Tillis.
Ms. Bondi, thank you for being here. I think I told you when we met, thank you for the time we met. I was born in Florida, have a lot of friends and family, and follow Florida politics pretty closely, and you've had a very impressive career there.
T-Rex,
Though I
you
do
still
also have to
here?
admit I'm a Gator hater, so for the Florida alum, I'm University of Tennessee. But anyway,
T-Rex, can you hear me?
I actually, in some of these hearings, I created a bingo card to see what some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle were going to hit. I want to go back to a few of them really quickly. One was about you being a lobbyist paid for and on the payroll of Qatar. Would you mind going back and repeating what you said in case people did not hear the involvement of your law firm and precisely what you were doing for the government of Qatar?
Yes, Senator, I was very proud of that work. It was anti-human trafficking in advance of the World Cup, and human trafficking has been something that's been very important to me my entire career, especially when I was Attorney General of
And
the
you
state
also
of
made it
Florida.
clear that you had a number of practitioners within the firm working on it. So this narrative that you were getting $115,000 a month from Qatar is correct or not?
Not correct.
Okay, thank you. I want to talk a little bit about, well, first off, I want to go back. You should be happy that so many comments have been directed towards Kash Patel, whose confirmation I am supporting. In fact, I'm meeting with him today because that means they're out of stuff for you. So if it comes up again, you will once again know that you've got a great reputation and a great resume, and they are just trying to find things to put your integrity into question. You have answered the
Blackburn.
question repeatedly
Burn
that
it
you're
down.
that you will be loyal to the Constitution and you will live up to the oath to the Constitution and to protecting the American people. And I think Mr. Patel, when he becomes here, he'll be able to get rid of the myth in the same way that you did as a lobbyist for Qatar. He'll be able to get rid of that list of the enemies, be able to deal with the enemies list, and the marketing department for your opposition is going to have to come up with new material because that stuff is getting old.
Yep.
Section 702. You heard Senator Lee talk about some concerns that he has with 702. I believe it's one of the most important things that you can do early into your confirmation. You will be confirmed, and hopefully with some Democrat support. That there have been dramatic reforms to 702. I've sat through an extensive presentation to try and make sure that the abuses never occur again and that you have a throat to choke if somebody abuses the protocol that's in place.
Yeah.
I believe that we need to
Choke it,
codify
baby.
a lot of that. As a matter of fact, when I went through it, I felt like there were so many blinding flashes of the obvious. How could this not have already been a part of the approval matrix? So can you, after you're confirmed, commit that you or a designate will come back and provide for this committee an update on all of the the protocols that have changed and recommended legislation for codifying so that when we do go to reauthorization, we'll have what we need to make sure that that program stays in place?
Senator, I or a designee will review all of 702 before it terms, of course, in 2026 and come back and report to you on both sides of the aisle.
Thank you. You have a great perspective with your time in the state and working with the Department of Justice. Give me an idea of things that we need to do better in terms of, and I'm talking primarily in the law enforcement role. I think many people don't understand the joint task forces, the law enforcement efforts that are going every single day in every one of our states. What an incredible job they do. So can you give me some sense of things that you would look at to say, maybe we could do it better from your perspective of having been a prosecutor in Florida?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Senator. Yeah, having been a career prosecutor, I think I have a unique perspective because I was a state prosecutor, of course, prior to becoming Attorney General. So I worked on a daily basis with local law enforcement and state and federal, not daily with federal, but I worked consistently with state, local, and federal. Then when I was Attorney General, I worked with all three as well. I feel like we have to have better coordination among all our agencies, especially given all the terrorism issues that we've discussed earlier in this hearing. We have to wrap in and communicate better with our local and state law enforcement officers throughout this country. There are so many great men and women in law enforcement, and we have to, I don't know exactly how yet, but we have to figure out a better way to work together with the federal authorities.
Thank you. And I'm going to do a second round as well, but I think I also checked the bingo
Second
card
round?
election denier. There were some people.
Are we doing two
that seemed
rounds?
to suggest that you were denying the
Oh.
election. I think that you said that President Biden is our president.
President Biden is the president of the United States of America, and President Trump will be the 47th president.
Right.
But I think you made a point that or at least I inferred from a comment that you made, a very important point. Folks, there are election improprieties in every election. The question is a matter of scale and whether or not you can prove it. We've seen it in North Carolina and seen it in other places.
It was
one of the
proven.
reasons why I support voter ID, because we want to make elections easy to vote and hard to cheat. But the fact of the matter is people are cheating. So if anybody on this dais suggests that there aren't irregularities in every election, then they need to spend more time at home and really studying the facts. I don't think, though, that you've said that Biden is an illegitimate president. In fact, I think you said just the opposite. He is the president of the United States, and President Trump will be the next president, right?
The worst ever. Yeah.
Yes.
The worst
Okay.
ever.
Last thing before the second round, January 6th, a lot of people are going to say you're going to have a rubber stamp for letting people have pardons or recommending a pardon for people who did violence to law enforcement. I'm not going to ask you a hypothetical because I want you to be consistent in not answering them. But I have to believe, as a member, I was the last member out of the Senate on January the 6th. I walked past a lot of law enforcement officers, who were injured. I find it hard to believe that the president of the United States or you would look at facts that were used to convict the violent people on January the 6th and say it was just an intemperate moment. I don't even expect you to respond to that, but I think it's an absurd and unfair hypothetical here, and you probably haven't heard the last of it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Let's see. Looks like we got about 13 minutes
Before I
till.
call on Senator Hirano, after her and Cruz's testimony, then we'll take a lunch break, and that break will be for 30 minutes. And I can't control when my senators come back, but I expect you to be back after 30 minutes, and I'll be.
Ooh, 30
Yes,
minute
Chair.
break. What
And
the?
then I may leave the
Oh my
meeting to
God.
open the Senate, so whoever's on our.
We'll look
side
around at
is
some of the other ones
taken
while
care of
they go on
during that
break, I
period of
guess.
time. Senator Hirano.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'm a completionist,
As
man.
part
I
of our
gotta, if I start something, I gotta
responsibility
finish
to ensure
it.
the fitness of all nominees, I ask the following two initial questions. First, since you became a legal adult, have you ever made unwanted requests for sexual favors or committed any verbal or physical
Which I know makes some people
harassment
happy.
or assault of a sexual nature?
Oh,
No,
no.
Senator.
Have you ever faced discipline or entered into a settlement relating to this kind of conduct?
No, Senator.
Ugh.
Ms. Bondi, I am focused on two things in my evaluation of President-elect Trump's nominees. The first is whether the nominee is qualified and experienced enough to do the job. The second is a fitness to serve, which includes putting loyalty to the Constitution over loyalty to the president. Unfortunately, in my view, many of President Trump's
She was on yesterday, wasn't
President-elect
she?
Trump's nominees are lacking in at least one of these two requirements. Ms. Bondi, your experience as a prosecutor is the kind of thing we would expect to see in a nominee for Attorney General, but I do have questions and concerns about potential conflicts of interest, about whether you will keep DOJ's law enforcement responsibilities
She was one of the
independent
worst
of the
yesterday.
president's
The
political
henpecker.
whims, and about whether
Henpecker.
you will let facts and evidence guide your decisions. So let's start with the importance of facts.
Here we
Which
go.
do you say is important?
The election or J6?
Ms. Bondi, we want an attorney general who bases decisions on facts. So I want to ask you a factual question. Who won the 2020 presidential election?
Joe Biden is the President of the United States.
She's not
Ms.
going to like
Bondi,
that
you know that
answer.
there is a difference between acknowledging it and, I can say that Donald Trump won the 2024 election. I may not like it, but I can say it. You cannot say who won the 2020 presidential election. Okay. It's disturbing. that
It's
you
disturbing.
can't
Because
give us
everybody knows you
that.
cheated.
Moving on.
Where's those
to,
20 million voters?
DOJ's
Where'd they go?
independence From politics. Ms. Bondi, if you are
Hmm?
confirmed as Attorney General, you will take an oath to the Constitution and
You guys
not
are
to
so
any
corrupt.
individual, including the president. To start, I'd like to know
So
whether you
corrupt.
agree with some of the statements President-elect
She works
Trump
for China.
made during the election, during the campaign. First, are the felons convicted
think she's
of
Hawaii.
breaking into the Capitol
I think
on
she's from
January
Hawaii.
6th hostages or patriots, quoting the Trump, as President-elect Trump has said repeatedly? Do you agree with his characterization of the felons that I referred to?
I am not familiar with that statement, Senator.
I just familiarized you with that statement. Do you agree with that statement?
I'm not
Thank
familiar
you,
with
Paul.
it, Senator.
Okay, no
I'll be
answer.
thanking you
He
in
has
a
also
better
said
way here in a second. Thank you
illegal
for the $10 super
immigration
chat.
is poisoning the blood of our
All right.
nation.
Dang it, not this
He
one
said
bag again.
that
I hear you,
in
man.
December 2023.
I hear you.
Do you agree with that statement?
Senator, I am not familiar with that statement, but what I can tell you is I went to the border a few months ago. I went to Yuma, Arizona, and what I saw at that border was horrific, Senator. It was horrific.
And you guys
Bondi,
did
I
it.
went to a rape crisis center.
That
If
is
I could
not my
finish,
question.
I went to a rape crisis center. Well, I'm not familiar with the statement, but I
get
went to a
to
rape
the
crisis
next-
center.
let
I
me
met
get to
with
the
Border
important-
Patrol
I have?
agents. I'm sure you've been to the
Ms.
border
Bondi,
as well. So
I
you
want to
could
get
answer
to my
that.
next question. So, I believe that you responded to a question from.
Yeah,
Senator
and it was a
Whitehouse,
blessing
so
in
let me
disguise.
get
Wouldn't
your
you agree,
response
Truth
again.
Warrior?
You
I think it
said
was a
that the
blessing in
White
disguise.
House-
We still
I'm
can
putting
call it
words in your mouth,
corruption,
correct me.
but it was a blessing in
You said that the
disguise.
White House will play no role in investigative or charging decisions in the DOJ. Is that correct?
Senator, what I said is that it is the Department of Justice's decision to determine what cases will be prosecuted.
What role will the White House have in investigative or prosecutorial decisions of the DOJ?
It is the Department of Justice's decision, Senator.
So that sounds to me that you're saying that the White House will not have any kind of role. Meanwhile, though, you have an incoming president who said, I have the absolute right to do what I want to do with the Justice Department. And in fact, President-elect Trump considers the DOJ to be his law firm. I ask you this. If President-elect Trump asks, suggests, or hints that you as Attorney General should investigate one of his proceedings, would you do so?
Hello? There we go. Hello?
Me, had you met?
What is going on here? This come off the
Now-
website. What are you guys doing?
Who refused?
We don't. All right, let's try it again.
So I think it's really important to us that the Attorney General be independent of the White House. And you have a president-elect who considers the AG's office his law firm. I would like to know whether if the president suggests, hints,
Yeah.
asks, that you as Attorney General should investigate one of his perceived enemies?
Do it.
Senator,
you
I
do?
certainly have not heard the president say that. But what I will tell you is 2/3 of Americans have lost faith in the Department of Justice. And it's statements like that, I believe,
Ms.
that make
Bondi,
people continue to lose faith. If I am confirmed as Attorney General, it will be my job to
getting on
not
to my
only
next
keep
question,
America
you're not
safe,
responding.
but restore integrity to
I
that
asked some
department.
question,
And that's
you
what
know,
I plan
reply.
on
that
doing
you said
every single day as Attorney General.
on August 25th, 2025, on Fox News, you said,
Let me get my vodka.
when Republicans
This is their
I don't-
site doing it, not my, not
prosecutors will
me.
be prosecuted, once the investigators will be investigated. Ms. Bondi, is Jack Smith one of those bad prosecutors that you will prosecute as AG?
Hell yeah.
Senator, you hesitated a bit when I said the bad ones. Every decision will
Sometimes
be
badness
made
in the
the
eyes of the beholder. I'm just asking whether you would consider Jack Smith
Senator,
to be one of the people. How about Liz Cheney?
It's for T-Rex.
Senator,
How about Merrick Garland?
I am not going to medicals. No one has been prejudged or nor will
I
anyone
am
be
asking
prejudged
whether
if I am
these are the
confirmed.
kind of people, these are in fact the people that you would prosecute. I'm not getting an
Your
answer.
time is up.
It's because you suck and
Would
nobody
you
wants to
like
talk
to-
to you.
My
Go
time
home.
is
You
up,
go home now.
Mr. Chairman.
You go
She
home
is
now.
clearly not going to answer that question, so
Yeah,
let me get on
because you
to.
suck and nobody cares
you
what you
like to-
I
think
do
or what
have,
you have
I
to
just
say.
went for the second round.
No, you're awful. and
You'll
you
have a
make a
second
mockery of this
Would you
entire
like to
thing.
speak before I call on Senator Cruz?
No,
And-
sir. Thank you.
Okay. Senator Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Come on
General
in,
Bondi,
Ted.
welcome. Thank you for
Thank you.
your long career in public service, and thank you for your willingness to take on this incredibly important office. You know, I have to say, I don't know that there is a more important position in this new administration than the position to which you have been nominated, Attorney General of the United States. I thought the exchange just a moment ago with Senator Hirono was illustrative.
Hirono.
She asked you how you would respond if the president asked you to target his
Sir
political
Frank,
enemies.
what's up? How you doing?
It's rather striking because it's not a hypothetical. It has happened over the last 4 years. And I think perhaps the most tragic legacy of the Biden-Harris administration has been the politicization and the weaponization of the United States Department of Justice. And we don't need to ask hypothetically because Joe Biden publicly mused and allowed the New York Times to report it, calling on Merrick Garland, why will he not prosecute Trump more quickly? And Merrick Garland, sadly, he sat in that chair and promised to be apolitical, and he broke that promise almost the instant he walked into the Department of Justice.
Mm-hmm.
If you look on the west pediment of the Supreme Court of the United States, just above the entrance, there's a simple yet profound four-word phrase,
Yep.
equal justice under law. We have
They saw it.
seen
They
over the
saw it.
last 4 years a Department of Justice that systematically targeted the political opponents of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and that systematically protected his friends and allies. And it is tragic to see the loss of confidence in the American people, in the Department of Justice, and in the FBI. I would note, I don't think there's an institution in America who has lost more respect from the American people than the FBI has in the last 4 years. That is a grotesque violation of the obligation of the Department of Justice and the FBI. So I want to start with just a very simple question. If you are confirmed as Attorney General, will you pledge to fairly and faithfully uphold the law regardless of party?
So help me God.
Amen.
Amen. There we
Look, and
go.
I want to be clear for folks at home. I don't want a Republican Department of Justice. I don't want a Democrat Department of Justice. I want a Department of Justice that follows the damn law. And I think the American people do too. That shouldn't be too much to expect. Now, I'm grateful to President Trump for nominating you. I think on any objective level, you're clearly qualified for this position. You have been a prosecutor for decades. You have been the elected Attorney General of the state of Florida, the third largest state in America, for 8 years. Let me ask you, in terms of your practice, how many criminal cases over the course of your career have you personally handled?
Handled thousands.
How many of those were before a jury?
Hundreds. I don't want to overstate, but hundreds. I was in a courtroom for many years. I tried 4 when I was an intern, jury trials. I think you had to try at least 20 in misdemeanor before you went to felony. Then you were in court every day. And I was also lead trial attorney for many years, trying many cases. So,
And how many of those cases would have been before a judge?
oh, hundreds and hundreds as well, but hundreds before a jury, I would assume.
And as Attorney General of Florida, how many lawyers did you supervise roughly?
Approximately 400, Senator.
Now, I also want to clarify something. During the course of this hearing, several Democrat senators have referred to you as President Trump's, quote, personal lawyer. Now I don't believe that is an accurate characterization. As I understand it, you represented President Trump as a White House special advisor during his first impeachment trial. Is that correct?
Within Office of White House Counsel, yes, Senator.
And is working within the White House counsel's office different than representing Donald J. Trump individually as his personal lawyer?
Absolutely.
How's it different?
You're working for the government. You're working for the Office of White House Counsel. You're not representing him in his personal capacity.
And so you have not represented him in his business affairs, in his personal life, or in any of the criminal trials he has faced?
No, Senator.
And you know, when it comes to weaponization, it's worth noting that in more than 2 centuries of our nation's history, no president had previously been indicted, no president had previously been prosecuted until the Biden-Harris White House came along. And in the last 4 years, we've seen Donald Trump indicted and prosecuted not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 separate times.
And 2 assassination attempts, Senator.
I have to say, Javert from Les Mis would be chagrined at the efforts of Democrats to do anything possible to take him down. And I believe the real target in this was not President Trump, but it was the American people, that these prosecutions were brought because partisan prosecutors were terrified that the American people would do exactly what they did in November of 2024 and vote to reelect Donald J. Trump.
By 77.3% million Americans, 77.3 million Americans.
She's happy
Will
about
you
that.
commit-
You gotta like that part.
Every day as Attorney General
Being awesome.
to follow the law, to follow the Constitution, to uphold the rule of law without favor and without regard to the partisan position of any criminal defendant?
Yes, Senator.
That's what we should all expect from an Attorney General. Thank you.
All right.
Now recess for 30
Recess,
minute
2 minutes
lunch break.
late.
That means
2
we'll be
minutes
back
late.
at 12:25. And when we resume, Senator Booker will be recognized to ask his questions.
All right, Mr. Booker coming up. They're on lunch break. I'm gonna mute this down. Oh no, we can see what they're doing here. Where is everybody sitting here? They faded out. They faded out. All right, man. Thank you guys so much for being here. So many awesome people in the crowd. Pammy Joe is doing pretty good, I think. You know, some people are gonna like her. I think for the most part, I'm down. You know, we'll see. Nobody's perfect. I mean, prosecutors are prosecutors. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like prosecutors are prosecutors. There's never going to be 100% consensus on a prosecutor. Everybody's be like, I love the prosecutor, right? Because in some level that means you could be prosecuted too. But Pammy Joe likes cash, and I like cash. She likes Trump, and I like Trump. She's shown this over and over again. She's not biting on the bullshit from the Democrats, which is cool. And I don't think that she's working for the establishment. We're a world full of different people, and it's a good thing. And there's going to be times when we don't agree on things. And that's a good thing too. What we don't want is a corrupt system full of corrupt people, and I think that she thinks the same thing. So, in her way, in her Pammy Joe way, she will, I think, do her best to do her duty to God and her country, and try to make it, better. So there we have it, and I do owe my friend Paul this beautiful, beautiful thank you. Paul Farrell, thank you for the $10 super chat. Dang it, not this one back again. And we all know who he's talking about. The establishment, corrupt establishment. Hirono, who gets up there and just becomes a bit bullshit every time. And it's a shame. Yeah, she's anti-swamp, yeah. And it's a shame so many people are still into that establishment narrative. Mind control out there. That believe the bullshit they keep pumping out. They don't believe mind control is real, yet they're under it every day. It doesn't take much to box people into a narrative and then feed them a bunch of ideas that form their belief system. And since they never explore outside that narrative and their mind is closed, they will therefore go on living in that false narrative and being under that establishment narrative, mind control. Mind control is very easy. You just box people into a narrative. It's not hard. You don't need torture. You don't need drugs. You don't need anything like that. We witness it every day. Isn't that right, Em? Right? The millions of Americans who have never voted for a convicted felon who is out on bail for $200,000 was found liable for sexual abuse and fraud. Yeah. See, this is a good example of establishment mind control right here. And thank you for that, being the example. Someone boxed into a narrative and not even realizing that they're supporting their own destruction. We all can learn from him. Memento mori, all lawyers are douchebags on some level. Yeah, we kind of figured that out, didn't we? Every time I hear Booker, I remember wrestling Booker T. Washington. Yeah, T-Rex, I found. Is that your peace and love? I'm out of here thing. I found a case. Every now and then a case will come up on Amazon of like a lost case of Body Armor Edge. And as you guys know, this used to be my go-to. Start doing it with this hand. This used to be my go-to drink. And they stopped making it. There we go. And they stopped making it. And which is a mistake because this drink right here is so good that'll make you stop drinking sodas. And it's really good for you. And it has caffeine. It gives you that beautiful, even caffeine boost. And Body Armor, if you're out there, one day you're going to sell me this. And I'm going to turn it into the winning edge. And I'm going to show you how you should have done with it in the first place. This is going to be called Based Grape. I already got names for the flavors. This would be called Based Grape. Right? And you should have just look. You should have talked to me, man. I didn't get in touch. You didn't know who I was, so fair enough. However, the future is bright. And yes, I do drink water too. That's my nighttime drink. I drink water at night. So yeah, but some of us need caffeine, especially when we get up early and cover boring ass committee hearing confirmation things. I did say we'd look around. Let me see. We got 30 minutes. Why did it take a lunch break? Are they really going to ask her more questions? What else can they ask her? I don't know. Let's see what Robert's up to. He usually has about 50 screens up. How are we doing over there, Robert? We'll check it on him. We'll check it on the angry conservative. He's got Radcliffe up. Hasn't Radcliffe already been confirmed before? That's why I didn't think that that was like, I think he's already been confirmed before, hasn't he? I do want to check in on our friend, the angry conservative. We'll do that over on, he said he had some kind of special setup where he was going to do all of these at the same time. Well, I don't see that's what I said. I don't know how you're going to do all of them at the same time, but he's just got Radcliffe up there as well. And Robert actually has a better picture. Well, no, I just like the HD better. It's me. But about the same. So everybody's looking at Radcliffe right now. We're doing Bondi. That's cool. That gives us our own little niche, right? Our own niche. So many people out there. Thank you so much that are out there on Rumble and X. Make sure you guys hit the thumbs up on Rumble. I'm going to do the refresh here. You guys tell me what you see. We're up to 4 thumbs up, but we've had 111 views. We got 13, 12 people watching. So please hit the thumbs up. The trick with Rumble is you got to get the thumbs up going, right? So if you're there, hit the thumbs up. It really helps the creators out. Or no matter where you're at, if you stop by, it's a new platform still, and we're still trying to. Many of us are still trying to make our way there, but don't have deals with the platform itself. And I think a lot of people would appreciate this kind of content. That this is unique in the sense that it's anti-establishment, but it's not like conspiracy grifting either. So we only go after the truth and what's real, and you guys know that. That's why people come back. That's why people hang out. That's why people want to be part of winning our reality from people who are trying to turn it into a dystopic nightmare. Every time you say Radcliffe, I think Harry Potter. Why am I not surprised? If you need caffeine, make sure you take a daily dose of folic acid or folate. It will balance out the caffeine so you won't get jittery, and it runs through you in 30 minutes. I don't get jittery from caffeine. I literally can drink energy drinks and caffeine and go to bed. So, you got anything for that? You got anything that'll help me feel jittery from caffeine? That's what I really want. Can you help something that'll like amp it up? If I drink coffee, that doesn't really do it for me. Like if I drink coffee, it tastes good and I like it. I generally just like about 1 cup, unless it's a really good coffee. But generally just about 1 cup. And then like a couple hours later, I'm ready to sleep, dude. I'll take a nap on that shit. These things too, man. After this is almost gone. This is like leftover from last night. Like this is the thing about Body Armor Edges, is I can drink them and make them last because it's a big old bottle here. I will put it back in the fridge, like it cold again if it's been out for a while, and then come right back to it later on. And when I had multiple flavors, I would actually have several bottles that were open at the same time, and I would just switch off, right? So whatever was the coldest, I would pick it up and replace the other one. But I'm going to get another C4 after this. And I guarantee you, after this stream's over, I'll probably go take a nap. I'll be putting together a thumbnail for tonight. Of course, tonight is the big, just more in the unveiling reality series known as degrifting Dr. Stephen Greer. And this is the night he's supposed to have his big disclosure announcement. As you know, we've been breaking down his story into little bitty pieces, and it didn't really make a lot of sense. But we're gonna have some fun tonight, right? We're gonna have some fun tonight. And so it's gonna be a fun stream full of laughs, and as we go through more about how people use a different style of mind control that get people wrapped up in false narratives, right? It's all about freeing people's minds Teach them to discern information the correct way. And that's how we actually find the truth. That and the generational fix, of course, we talk about all the time here. Solution culture, where we will do our best to rearm future generations with logic, like trivium logic and Socratic method, repairing our history by putting back in what's been omitted. These are all counters to the cultural Marxist ideological subversion that's going on in our country that's we were all born into. And also future prevention for things like establishment propaganda and people who try to run grifts and scams on people to make money and get attention, or if they're just useful idiots for it. Doesn't matter, because when you understand how logic works and you understand the trivium works, you can point out the fallacies and the false premises people use to get over on you, right? And ultimately, in the end, it is up to you. It is up to you. So future proofing our world against that will make the world a better place. We'll have less disinformation, less deception, less people suffering from information-based abuse, which of course leads to all kinds of nasty things that we are experiencing today. A giant demoralization process that can be reversed, but it does take a generational fix. My crowd gets that. That's for the new people. Hope you like that. If you do dig it, you're in the right spot. If you just want your bias confirmed, you're in the wrong spot. I won't confirm your bias, but I will walk with you to the truth. That's what I do, because it's more important to know the truth than to think that you're right when you're just buying into someone else's bullshit. That's the way we do it here. If you dig that, then you're in the right spot. If not, come back when you're ready. We'll be here for you. We got a great crowd, super friendly crowd. Did I get everybody? I did say thank you to everybody who's been donating. And Scott, thanks again for becoming a new member of the Winner's Circle. You're awesome. And Paul, thanks again for the super chat. And Shelly, thanks again for gifting those memberships. You're very sweet and very kind and very generous. And remember to please hit the thumbs up and support the channel that way, wherever you're at. It's a big thank you to all the people who are doing awesome out there. And I appreciate you, each and every one of you. What else can we talk about here? I covered that. Let's see. Let me refresh Robert over here. And I don't know if I want to get into a different one. I don't want to change the title or the thumbnail. But we're on a lunch break right now with Pammy Joe. Pammy Joe's there in the corner. And it's still running because it's a website. And so I'm not messing it up by hitting these YouTube videos. Heidi, how you doing? OG Heidi, long not forgotten, and being so heartily welcome back. What time is your show tonight? It's been awesome. Feels good to be back here. We're happy you're back, dude. I would love it. We love it when people come back that have been gone for a while. We do take note. We do miss. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I have other ones, but I was using, I bought a set of Shure headset. I bought a Shure for when I went cam live there. It didn't have the mic on it and was less bulky. And then I plugged it in and I started getting this noise. This crackling noise all of a sudden. So I haven't gone back to figure out whether it's the headset or not. But since I started using the Bluetooth again and not being plugged directly into the mic with that one or directly into the stand over there, I tried a couple different ways. That evidently has stopped. So I might do another round where I try to do it. Honestly, I gotta be honest with you guys. This is the least painful headset that I have. I also can put an earpiece in. I kind of tried that. I might try that. But I don't know. This is the headset, but this is the least painful because I wear these glasses, right? And believe it or not, these glasses are digging into the side of my head like you wouldn't believe. And then the headset applies extra pressure. So basically, by the time I take them off, it's like I don't want to take them off because it's going to be so painful just to remove them. So I've been putting like cotton balls behind it, like Shelly recommended cotton balls. It kind of helps, but not really. It may buy me like an extra 30 minutes or so. But earbuds, I might have to try that too. My earbuds, the ones I have right now, don't connect to my PC Bluetooth for some reason. So I might do that too, but I have to get around to it. So for now, get the bulky voids, right? And honestly, this is the headset I've been wearing the entire time anyways. Like before I went cam live. This is the headset I've always worn. And like when I was been talking to people, like I said, I'm switching to my headset mic. That's the mic. See it? It's right there. That's the one I've been talking through the entire time. How about that? Like when I was up walking around stuff. When the quality goes down, that's the mic I'm using. Yeah. That's it. But this is a wired headset, and for some reason, when I started using it, all of a sudden it was like there was a problem. And I hadn't had a problem before. So that's the story of the headset. Hope you've enjoyed that. If you do, hit thumbs up. All right. Yep. There we go. So they're all enjoying a nice lunch. I wonder if it's catered. I wonder if they have like a catered like table in the back. But no one's talking to her or whatever her name is. A nasty little lady. I have questions. You're not answering them. I have leading questions for you. Antonio, you must admit you hate Trump like I do. You know? Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. I love it when a mind control victim stops by. All right. Man, almost up to 200 views here. Let's get those likes. We can break 30. It'd be great. We're going. She's from Hawaii. Yeah. Hawaii's got problems. When they're elected a lady like that, they got big problems. They're really boxed in down there. Really boxed in. Mitten pads for your glasses. Maybe those glasses just fit over your nose like Morpheus. Ooh. I'm cool, but they gotta be this style. I mean, this kind of style. I was thinking about switching back since these are reflective too. These are like dark reflective though. The other ones are kind of like bright reflective. So it's not too bad. It gives a little bit of motion. The pitch black ones, it's like right now I gotta make do with what I have here in studio. So, this the way that it's set up right now, and this will probably be the way it's going to be for another year at least, is I got my little corner of the room. I got my moving divider or whatever you want to call it. And I just curl it around me when I'm ready to go live. That's pretty much what it goes. That's pretty much how it is. And it makes me have to be up on the monitors. I think like you look at like Gary Branch, he's like way back and then kind of looks down at his phone and stuff, but his camera's way back. He doesn't have any kind of, but being a close, like I could touching my monitor right now. It's like, and it's a big monitor because we use it for more than just doing this, right? I use it for work. I use it to watch football games on and other things that other people may be watching with me. And it's got that beautiful new HD color in it. It's really cool. I got 2 new monitors for Christmas, and they both have that awesome HD color technology. HDR, I think they call it. And it's badass. Makes everything look cool. You never knew blacks were this black until you got one of these. So you move the HDR color. I recommend it for everybody. It's an upgrade in life. And actually, these monitors aren't that all that expensive either. But I got that one here, and I got my other one over there where I play stuff from, right? So, that's how it goes. You're gonna get a little bit of reflection in the glasses, but you'll never see anything exciting because I'm just looking at YouTube on this one, and I'm looking at me looking at YouTube on this one. That's it. And then when I look over here, I'm looking at your chats. Watch the ones that have the newer designs as mine, very weak circuit board on the speakers, so they fall apart. Older designs like you have, mine are have been solid though. Good, awesome. Yeah, I'm not repairing any of my electronics. I just buy new ones. Uh, you're wearing a void too. Uh, you're busy, man. You're busy. Scott, I still get all winning notifications. I have watched a few short shows via replay. Oh, good. I'm happy you're watching. Hope you're enjoying them. I hope you watched the Drone Apocalypse, at least parts 3 and 4. When I went through the interview Greer did on the David Spade, Dana Carvey podcast. That was good stuff. That's what inspired tonight's show, actually. Because we're gonna find out if I just he's gonna grift out. In fact, I'm gonna show you a video tonight of what I believe his excuse is gonna be, in case you haven't heard. In case you haven't heard, you know that guy out in Vegas who did the thing with the Cybertruck? Well, that's supposedly one of his key witnesses. Isn't that convenient? That was supposed to be one of the guys supposed to come forward. Isn't that convenient? So if we don't get the big payoff tonight, which I would be willing to bet money on, then that'll probably be the excuse. Well, we can't do it now because Joey went and blew himself up, you know? Okay. But so many people fall for it, man. So many people fall for it. We're gonna help them out though. When you slow it down, people are gonna like, oh man, really? Yeah, but now you know. Now nobody can get you with it. See, that's the beauty thing. That's the beauty thing about being humble and readdressing your old belief systems, because if you have been taken for a ride and you find yourself boxed into a false belief system when you shouldn't be buying into, you can learn so much from that. You can become powerful, more powerful than you've ever been by overcoming it. You can be very, very powerful. So that's the good thing. The Cybertruck incident was with the military guy that said his wife had an illegitimate baby, came out and claimed it was not true. Or the guy that was on the Sean Ryan show, whatever his name was. Yeah, that guy took that back and said it was misquoted or something. I just laid my phone on my iPad and it was like Winning and Shelly are cuddling. Jesus. Yeah, check it out. They're good. They're good rewatches. They're good rewatches. My last Unveiling Reality, Escaping the Abyss. That's a pretty good one too, I thought. Then you have the news, the weekly news stuff. Unrig the Game. Every Monday night we read audiobooks. We're on our 5th book. We're doing Government Gangsters right now by Kash Patel. The book before that was Big Intel by J. Michael Waller. Freaking phenomenal book. Bunch worth to read. The first book we did was Control Oligarchs by Seamus Bruner. Great book to read. And we had done The Great Awakening by Alex Jones and Woke Inc. by Vivek Ramaswamy in between those books. They're both pretty good. I'd probably rank them like right now. I think I'd probably rank them Big Intel number 1, Control Oligarchs 2, Government Gangsters 3, Woke Inc. 4, and Great Awakening 5. Just because I felt like you've got plenty of understanding and in the Control Oligarchs as far as the open conspiracy known as Agenda 2030 and the big bads, the real big bads of this world that are at the UN and the WEF and what they have planned for us. Jones's book, The Great Awakening, built on that and was supposed to offer some solutions. I didn't feel like the solutions really took. And of course I have my own. So I realize that solutions are, you got stopgap and you got permanent preventative measures, right? The problem with stopgap is that within a generation or two, it can easily be forgotten and weeded out, you know? And that's kind of how the establishment rolls, right? That's what they count on. No one's countered it the way that I'm suggesting we counter it. And that's going to take some work to get that idea pushed through, that idea solution culture where you're creating solutions that last generationally, that are directed at generational fixes, right? Because that's how they attack generationally for generational destruction, generational subversion. And in order to counter that, you have to be fighting on the same battlefield. So that's the idea. And it's just something we haven't done yet. It just hadn't been put out there. So if it ever does, and ever becomes a big deal, you'll know that you were one of the first people to learn about it and be part of raising that idea to where it needs to be elevated to. And that you were there on the ground level on the beginning days of the fight. Shinagram, what's up? How you doing? Good to see you. T3, she came in and talked to T3. I see how you are. All right. Made sure we knew you were also streaming. Got 2 ears and a lot of space in my skull. Fill her up. Okay, so yep, you found her. We're gonna be moving over to her stream at some point. Did she start? Are you Shelly? Are you still here? Do you push it? Did she say she was pushing it? I might have missed her. How much longer? These things go on too long, man. I gotta tell you. Now they're taking a lunch break. What are we at? 3 hours? Did they just plow through Hegseth yesterday or something? Because that one was almost a 5-hour stream. Now, are they gonna do like hot take, like real quick? Like you got a question? Let's keep it moving. How many more questions can they ask this poor lady? Oh, Shelly already started? Oh, okay. I don't know, man. I mean, honestly. Oh yeah, absolutely. Check out the playlist, Unveiling Reality playlist, Unrig the Game playlist. You can find a lot of stuff. I've been doing like 5 streams a week. These are the ones I'd recommend for the most part. The other ones are kind of like weekly. Okay. She's already 10 minutes behind in chat. Honestly, guys, I'm cool with just leaving it right here. I mean, my big issue is I'm completionist, and if I start, I want to finish it. So what do you guys think? Heg was bossed. Yeah, he did great. A Code Pink chimed. Yeah, I've talked about Code Pink before. They've been around a long time. That same old crusty blonde lady. She's the leader. She was actually one of my videos from my I had a channel like a long time ago that actually was doing better than this one. But I wasn't like live. I wasn't live streaming, just videos. More like a repository for videos that were, used in truth bombs and used in to prove points in conversations and stuff like that. It was like that and promote Ron Paul. And I did this one when they were dancing at the Capitol. Remember that guy? What's his name? He was an RT. He's not around anymore because he got in so much trouble. He's like, screw this shit. I'm getting the hell out of here. Something against the world or something. I forget his name because he's been out of the. Anyways, he did a dancing demonstration at the Capitol and a bunch of people got arrested, and that lady was in the video. And the only reason it went viral and that my channel blew up is because Alex Jones, one of his guys, featured it in an article on InfoWars, and it was like that. So many people watched it and like subscribed as a result of it that the channel blew up. And it was like, yeah, but that was Code Pink. Yeah. Code Pink, highly Marxist group. Very, very subversive, but they're very, they organize a lot of rallies and stuff. But they're busy little ladies that are dressed up in pink and think they're doing something, and they're just really commies. So ineffective yet persistent. They scratch things up every now and then. They don't break anything, just scratch. And low value, very low value, but yet persistent. That one lady, you can see her. It's the lady with the stringy blonde hair. That's the leader. That's the founder. That's the go-to. But yeah. if the one thing that can get me out of finishing the stream with this is you guys. So should I stop now? Do you think we're gonna learn anything new? Should I stop now and redirect to Shelly? All right, there we go. The one thing that can change reality right now is you guys, because I'm happy to. I'll tell you what. I'm happy to call it here with this hearing. I'm happy to. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that video that was on. And it's not, the channel's gone. It got deleted. But that video that was on InfoWars of him dancing, and then then they started arresting everybody. That was mine. That was from way back in the day. If you remember that, if you actually saw that video from there, of course I just clipped it from somewhere else. So, but if you happen to see it on InfoWars, that was mine. Back in the day, I had a channel called I had to do it with Ron Paul. So, anyways, I put a poll out. You guys can do it. I'm happy to we got 10 votes in. 70% say I should stop and redirect to Shelly. I'm down with it, man. Believe me, I'm all about helping Shelly out as much as possible. And if we feel like we've done enough here today and we got a good grasp on it, I'm more than happy to do it. Like I said, my problem is I'm a completionist, and like I'll make myself sit through and I'll torture myself to finish this. But the one group of people that could change my mind, change reality is you, the crowd, because I'm here for you as well. We got 12 votes in. How many people are in the crowd? We got 19 in the crowd. I think I'll take it at about 16 votes or so. Something like that. Hang on a second. All right. I've been known to just I can torture the hell out of myself. You got 40 watching here. Let's see. Oh, we got 28 likes. 28 likes. We got 69, 13 votes in. 13 votes in. Looks like the crowd's leaning towards stopping and going to Shelly's, and I don't blame you. Fiddlesticks. I wanted to get Shelly's stream today too. Well, I'm a completionist. Yeah. But you know what? This whole lunch break bullshit. I'm hungry. I got a show tonight. Ain't like you ain't gonna get to see me later on. I'm gonna do another 3 hours tonight, probably. 29 likes. Okay, yeah. No worries. We're getting close. I think the crowd is we got 14 votes in. 14 votes in. Let's get to 30 likes. I'll probably get 30 likes on even if I quit now. But yeah, I think we're leaning towards that. So let's do this. I don't want to get sucked back into this. I think I have it muted. We're gonna leave it right there in this view. 29 likes. Okay, cool. 29 likes. Oh, there's 30 likes. Good. Okay. And well, I think even with 2 more votes, it's not going to change the outcome. So the crowd has spoken. The crowd has spoken. And thank you, crowd, for speaking. I appreciate it. So we're gonna get out of here and redirect over to Shelly and show our love and support for her. I will be back tonight, probably between 7:30 and 8 p.m. Eastern, one of the two. And for Unveiling Reality, Disclosure Watch is on, featuring Dr. Stephen Greer. Remember to bring your zebra badges and do not speak during a zebra alert unless you have a zebra badge on. Now, this is important because we don't want anybody getting hurt. You realize that, if you don't have a zebra badge on during a zebra alert, you're basically a target, and we don't want anybody getting hurt, right? So make sure that you remember this, right? Because we're going to be touching on those sensitive topics tonight, and we could actually experience a real zebra alert. So we need to be careful. We've been doing drills all week long. You guys remember what it's like, right? Do you want a quick little taste?
Zebra alert. Zebra alert. Zebra alert. Zebra alert.
Okay, so you guys know that's the point. Let me see. That's the point. You got to get the zebra badges out. And I'll explain it later on again. We'll go back and we will readdress this tonight as we start the stream. Yep. See, people who have been training for the zebra alert to understand what's going on. And for those who don't, make sure you just follow suit. I also have a zebra. You can do that, or you can change your avatar, which makes it even easier. That way, you don't have to put zebras behind everything you're saying, right? But if you don't have time to change your avatars, you can just put zebra alerts. Just make sure if you say anything to add a zebra to it during a zebra alert, so that Wolfram doesn't have to shoot you. Okay, because that's just the way it goes. And as Stephen Greer says, during zebra alerts, we have to shoot anybody who's not supposed to be there. And the only way we know that you're supposed to be there is with the zebra badge, right? And then once we have secured the area, then we call Moscow and we ask them what the hell's going on. All right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. Let's go see Shelly. T-Rex, don't you dare. I'm telling you, you better have that zebra badge on. You better have it on. You better have it on. Yeah, you got a zebra badge. You're fine. You'll be fine. A member zebra icon. Yeah. Actually, you know what? We really do. We really do. All right, I'll work on it. I'll see what I can do. Alrighty, guys, let's go see Shelly. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'll see you later this evening. And until that time, stay based. I'll make sure I got it saved. Dang it. I'll do something dumb. All right, there we go. Stay based and keep on winning.